Just sing in your head.
Huh?
Just sing in your head all
Just
night.
sing in my head. Started right here. All right, so we're good. We are on. At Fish North Georgia, where we talk all types of fishing, and we will do our best to educate and entertain you who have taken your time to join us tonight. I hope that sounded professional enough. What you think, Blake?
Hey, it's great.
Sound good. All right. We appreciate every one of you guys that's joined us here tonight. And I want to go ahead and get some real quick business out of the way. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel at YouTube, and make sure you click that bell so you'll be notified of any future content that we put out, which will be coming weekly, and we'll get better and better as the time goes on, for sure, like that. You also can check us out on iTunes and Spotify at Fish North Georgia Podcast, as well as many other podcast platforms.
It's growing. I went back and looked at some views, and it's growing, man.
You can follow us on Facebook at Fish North Georgia and the Fish North Georgia group page, as well as Instagram at Fish North Georgia, and on Twitter at Fish North GA. Has to be a little bit different for Twitter. So Fish North Georgia GA. And guys, listen, after the show, drop us some comments down in the section, or you can email me directly at danny@fishnorthga.com with any suggestions for future guests or topics that you want to see us cover here. So got that good stuff out of the way. And first of all, I want to start this episode by thanking our fine sponsor, Cassidy State Farm. And I want you guys to listen right here real quick. If you ever considered the investment that you have made in your boat, not only your boat, but in your electronics, in your rods, all your equipment on your boat right there. If you start adding it up in your head, we have dropped, well, I'm not going to tell my wife how much we've dropped, but we've dropped a pretty penny in our stuff like that. So it makes sense that, we might want to consider getting an insurance policy to cover this. And Cassidy Farm has just what we're looking for. Now, most homeowner policies will cover this stuff while it's at your house, but the second you pull out the driveway, that's done with. So you might want to consider, protecting yourself while you're at the lake from not only damage and theft, but even in my case, against me, myself. I've been known to break a rod or two of my time.
Getting mad, Danny?
That's just the nature of the business.
That's everybody, ain't it?
So if you're smart, you'll consider this. And I want you to call Chase Epley at 678-779-7269. Tell him Danny at Fish North Georgia sent you, and just get you a quote. Just, look into it. I think you'll find it's reasonable. I think you'll find it's a smart thing to do. And again, there's a lot of money involved with some of the stuff we do. So definitely want to protect our assets, and we don't want to tell our wives that we got to go buy other stuff to replace it like that. So again, call Chase at 678-779-7269 and get you a quote today. You got one of those on your boat?
No, I don't, but I need to, even though that is my brother-in-law.
That is your brother-in-law.
And I don't have a quote.
Why do you not have a quote?
I don't know. I bought the live scope. That's a $2,500 investment. I think I need to get it covered in case somebody steals it.
I think you do. So, guys, what's going on here tonight? As you can see, I actually have a pair of glasses. I did find a pair of glasses that has two arms on it, but I can't hardly read anything that's going on there. These are like old prescriptions right there. So you're going to have to help me with the comments.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm already watching.
I see. It's pretty good. What's up, Dana, all you guys? Listen, so tonight we got the boys from Backwoods Outdoor up here, and we're going to be talking some Carter's Lake and stripers and anything else we get into. But first, I'm going to introduce not my companion. You definitely not.
I'm not your companion. I'm just a friend, right?
That's all right now.
Hey guys, welcome to the show tonight.
Blake Buchanan is here. You got any big plans for the weekend?
Gonna come hang out with y'all tomorrow at the Jimbo on Lanier. What's it called? What they call it?
It is the Southern. I have it right there. It is the Southern Outdoor Show.
Yeah, Southern Outdoor Shows, guys. Yeah. Y'all don't have anything going on tomorrow or Saturday, right out. We'll be out there tomorrow.
I'm just gonna be out there tomorrow.
We'll be out there tomorrow. But other than that, I'm gonna be hanging out with my little boy and everything.
There you go. So. That's a good thing too. So. Joining me tonight from Backwoods, I want to say this first, and you correct me if I'm wrong. So I wrote this down. Backwoods provides striper trips on Carter's Lake, Blue Ridge, Notley, and other North Georgia reservoirs, putting their clients on a trophy-sized fish and educating them about the resources and opportunities here in North Georgia. So to my left is Captain Jeremy Mullinax. Does that sound about right?
That's it.
That's what you guys like to do?
Yeah, man.
All right, you ready to talk some fishing?
I'm ready.
Okay, and with him tonight is Captain Mickey Wheeler. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
I'm gonna tell you, we've already figured out who's gonna be doing all the talking tonight.
We'll learn that upstairs.
These guys,
Nothing ever changes.
Nothing ever changes. They've been here probably about an hour. They're one of the few guests that actually arrived early and I would say on time, but you guys were early, and that's good. That's the way my mama raised me to be early. And I don't think Mickey's hushed since he's got here. So you and I would have fun.
That's the Baptist in me.
That's it.
We're gonna pick your brain tonight. Get some secrets.
I'm ready.
We
Oh no.
Oh, Lord.
No.
You know what happened? You flipped.
Hey, we ain't down, are
You
we?
flipped the breaker.
Okay, guys. Hey, I apologize, but we just flipped a breaker. We got a little technical difficulties tonight.
Did the camera show you?
It probably was me.
I have no idea.
Was it you?
It probably was me.
I don't
Listen,
know.
we could hear it. Good. I'm glad I didn't say
Okay.
anything I wasn't supposed to say.
We're gonna get it fixed real quick, guys. Y'all give us a second.
Everything's
We're
on
still
but
running.
the cameras. I don't know
Okay.
what. Listen,
We can still
Well,
hear.
the
Everybody,
lights.
everybody's saying they still got it.
ain't you got a lighter or something? Stick your tongues out.
There
There we go. He owes me a trip.
That would be my father. That's Daddy. That's Charlie.
Hey, Charlie. How
there
you
you
doing,
go.
brother?
Look at that best view of Danny yet, said by the ugliest guy that follows us, Chris Taylor.
That does look like a good camera angle on you.
It is a good camera angle. If you guys notice, we ain't freezing down here either. Now, what we got going on here? That's I see. I told you we just roll with it, man. How it goes. So we're gonna jump right in tonight. Right in tonight in our first topic, and I'm gonna throw this out to Jeremy. So tell everybody out there a little bit about Carter's Lake and what in particular makes it a premier destination for a trophy fish.
Well, probably the biggest reason why that Carter's produces big fish is the source of bait that we have there. I would say,
Agree.
yeah, I mean, it's got more bait in it than any other lake that in North Georgia that I've fished.
Right.
Probably too much bait, to be honest with you.
What kind of bait are we talking?
Alewife.
Yeah, well,
You got L-wise, you got, or however you say it.
Alewife?
Yeah.
Is that really how you say it?
I call it alewives, but
those are real small.
It's spelled ALWFI or something like that, but it's alewife.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I'm a country boy, man.
I am too.
No,
I am
nobody
too.
really knows how they got there, but
Okay.
but they're there either way.
Well,
They had to be stocked. I
You
mean,
think so?
that much bait just don't show up overnight.
So they're
okay.
loaded.
So tell me a little bit about what exactly an alewife or weef is. What's up, Tatum?
Pretty much, you can compare it to, as far as the way they act, the way they affect the lake. You can compare it to a blueback heron.
Okay.
They stay deep certain times of the year. They move a lot. So it's definitely affected our lake overall. But even before the LYs, and Mickey could probably talk more about this because he's been around a long time.
Oh man.
But
That's
yeah,
right.
but Carter's has always had a lot of bait, even before the LYs.
Yeah.
And now it's probably got more bait than we need. Really, we need more fish.
Right.
To cut down. I think if we could cut down on the bait some, it would make our fishing easier.
I got you.
It might not produce quite as big a fish,
Right.
but with less bait, but it's going to be easier to catch what's there.
Gotcha. It sounds like Rocky, don't it?
Oh God. Yeah.
Have you ever fished Rocky Mountain?
No.
Go during the springtime.
Yeah.
I decided to go last week and I got my ass kicked.
But
Oh.
it's a lake that's got you can look on your sonar from top to bottom. It's just
It's
nothing.
loaded.
I don't even know why the fish
Loaded.
bite anything other than the gizzard shad there. So alewife, now has it got blueback in it?
No.
No blueback.
If they're there, I mean, I think we
Not
caught
supposed to
some
be.
in our nets. They're not supposed to be, but a lot of people don't know the rules, and I know that some folks I've heard about. I'm not,
Let's hear the
had
rules.
brought some in from the different lakes,
Right.
But I've never done it, and never will.
So you're saying the bluebacks can't fish with them on Carters?
No.
Okay.
No,
Not legally.
they're
Not
illegal.
legal. So people's bringing them in their live wells, I guess, to pull baits and
Well,
Dump 'em in the lake.
I say it's probably coming from Notley or Lanier, guys, and they may be, just don't know.
Mhm.
But it is illegal.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the actual lake itself, because you and I were talking upstairs before the show, and anytime I mention Carter's to anybody down here, it's like it's a tough lake, it's a terrible lake, it's too deep, all these things. So all of that.
It can be all those things.
Right.
I mean, we leave there a lot of days pulling our hair out just like anybody else. But it's Carter's is, I think, 3,200 acre lake. It's the deepest reservoir lake this side of Mississippi.
Right.
So it can be, it's just different than what most people are used to. You know, you have to adjust what you're doing because you're not fishing 15, 20 foot of water everywhere you go like you would maybe other places. It's the complete opposite. You have to look hard to find 15, 20 foot of water on Carter's. So it's just a whole different approach. You know, if I had any advice to give anybody on Carter's, it would be persistence. That's what's helped us, just, you know, fishing day in, day out. I've learned a lot from Mickey and other guys, but as y'all probably know, the best lessons we learn are just by being out there and fishing a lot. So, and hey, I'm still, there's not a day goes by on Carter's I don't feel like I'm still learning something. So
now, is your primary, I guess, target species is stripers
and hybrids, unless we can't get them to bite, and then we'll take whatever we can get. We've been catching a lot of walleye last couple of years, and we catch a lot of spotted bass too. Right.
And we're going, and for you bass guys out there that, you know, normally watch us, we'll talk some spotted bass because they you know, we've been talking about it for about the last hour. And there's a few things that we'd like to share with you about that too. So now, do you fish? He's the younger generation, and you and I are the older generation. Do you find that you're the way you fish, even though you work together, is a little bit different than him?
Well, not really, because we both cut our teeth on Lanier.
Okay.
You know, about every striper fisherman I know that's from this area fish Lanier.
Right.
And you know, now what I've had to do since I've moved to LJ is I was fishing Lanier back before all the new technology stuff, and Jeremy's helped me. You know, there's been some things that I've changed up, and the network, a group of guys that I fish with, you know, everything's different. You always want to do the basics, okay? But there's new techniques that come out, and you know Lanier's going to learn it first, because there's just so many more guys there. But being able to fish both lakes, if you can catch fish consistently on Lanier, you can do it on Carter's. The only difference is the bait situation. You know, we can't go buy our bait, you know. But
now, why is that? Now, let's just talk about the rules of live bait.
There's nowhere to buy.
There's nowhere to buy, and it's illegal supposedly to have alewives in your possession. I mean, they let us catch them and fish with them, but you're not supposed to. You can't sell them.
Okay. Really?
Right.
So you go out there with cast nets and catch them, and that's how they do it.
Like, say, if we got a trip that starts at 6 o'clock, Jeremy and I was out there a lot of times 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, the worst thing in the world is knowing you got clients and not having no bait.
Well, Mickey just gets there that early so he can get his light out before everybody else. Get all the bait.
That's another story.
So y'all are lighting.
Jeremy, don't tell all my secrets.
Y'all are lighting the fish to get you bait.
We use the Hydroglow.
Yeah,
I've been using it since on Lanier. I mean, I'm an older man, and I had a 6 foot Hydroglow.
You ain't that older than me, so
Hydroglow. You hear me talking about y'all now, but I had a Hydroglow 6 foot fluorescent light, and you know it took up half the boat when you put it in there.
Right.
And you know they've upgraded just like everybody else. That's the technology that I'm talking about. But the Hydroglow definitely works. You know, if you ain't got one, you don't need to come to Carter's. The white lights that you can put out, it's just not going to draw the baits like the Hydroglow.
So it's got to be that green light.
Well, blue works too. But
blue works too. Okay.
It works.
What's the average time when you drop that light? I've done it a time or two, you know, over on Lanier around the bridges trying to catch crappie. It seems like it usually takes about 30 minutes for that bait to start showing up.
Well,
good.
you know, it all depends. In May and June, if we have full moons, you better get there early because you never know. I mean, Jeremy's been out there. You might throw the net 3 or 4 times and have 12 or 15 dozen in just one throw. And then there's times out there you're going to spend 3 or 4 hours catching enough bait to even fish with.
Okay.
So that separates Lanier from Carter's, really. That's the biggest thing, because a lot of people don't know how to throw a net, you know.
Right. So that's the primary way you get your bait, though.
That's the only way we get our bait.
All right. Because yeah, Paul had a question about that. So yeah, Paul, it looks like they net them right there. So
you can catch them on sabiki rigs,
but you can.
They will hit the sabiki rigs, but not like the bluebacks.
Oh, so
Okay.
you can catch the bluebacks with a sabiki pretty good.
Oh yeah, you can wear them out.
I didn't know what a sabiki was until I went tarpon fishing last year, and I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
It's catching bait. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, okay. All right. So now tell us a little bit about how you got started in the guiding.
Well, I started out just like anybody else, just as a hobby. But I had a good friend of mine, Robert Edison, runs a guide service on Altoona.
Yep.
He asked me if I would come help him one summer and do some trips. So that's kind of how it started. I started out just helping him as a favor.
Helping Robert.
Yeah, helping Robert. And, one thing led to another and ended up starting my own guide service. And Robert's been a big help to me along the way, but he's the one that helped me get my feet wet and get started. And then I've got to be close to Mickey and a lot of other guys that
who was guiding on. You were guiding on your own.
Yeah,
as well
part time.
Okay.
I never, back before the Elwise come in, you had to have gizzard shad. That was the only thing in the lake.
Okay.
And, you'd have to get there early again, but you're doing it totally different. Didn't put out no lights.
Right.
And you catch gizzard shad. Well, when the Elwise come in there, that changed everything.
Okay.
And, made things different. But, I do weekend trips. A lot of people heard I could fish. They'd call me up wanting to go. And, when the depression hit, that's when I wasn't working that much and trying to fish every day. And my wife said, "You're taking all these guys fishing and it's costing us money."
I've heard that before.
So,
I think we all have one.
I would have never, I fished all the tournaments. I'm competitive by nature. I want to catch the biggest fish.
Right.
I go out there every day, and anybody that knows me knows this. I try to catch a 40-pounder.
Right.
I mean, that's like our upper echelon of fishermen. And, I fish hard and, but people was going with me. And my wife said, so I just started doing some trips along the way. And, but since I met Jeremy, and I've gotten older and, I got a bigger boat now and, I feel more comfortable about taking more people.
Right. Okay.
So, Jeremy's helped me and, Jeremy C. Boats helped me. I mean, I'm a blessed man.
There you go. We all are.
To be able to do what you enjoy, your passion is, I just can't tell you how gratifying it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How many boats you got total?
We got myself and Mickey, and we got two other guys, Lynn Slay, he's from LJ, and Russ Dees, he's from Rome. So we've got a good group of guys. We've all been working together for several years as far as helping each other on the lake, sharing information, that kind of thing. So it only makes sense for us to continue to work together on the business side of it too. And it's been good for all of us. It benefits us from a lot of different ways.
Okay. What's the biggest striper you have taken out of Carter's Lake so far?
30 pounds.
30 pounds.
Yeah.
Now, is that about, as far as now, you said 40 pound is the upper echelon. That's what you're going for. So
everybody wants to catch a 40 pounder.
Everybody wants to catch 40 pounder.
Yeah.
What's the lake record?
36 and a half.
36 and a half pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the lake record spotted bass?
Ugh, you're asking the wrong person. Probably I think it's 7.
It's probably over 7. Right
7.
Around the 7 mark.
Okay. And you got hybrids.
And hybrids.
How's the hybrid fishing up there?
It used to be great.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be.
What's happened to that?
We used to catch 15, 16 pound hybrid out of there, but supposedly they're stocking a different strand of hybrids now. Obviously, everybody knows a hybrid's cross between a white bass and a striper.
Yep.
So apparently you can cross that two different ways, obviously, and one way they get bigger than the other way.
Oh, really?
Have you started noticing the difference yet, or you think
you've
even seen them yet?
Well, the ones that we're getting now seem like they top out around 8 pounds. You'll get some 10, 12 pounders a case, but those 14, 15 pound hybrid that we caught 10, 15 years ago, Mickey, are not. I'm not going to say they're not there, but it's not like it used to be.
I was told that there was 2 grades, like A and B, and the A being the upper one, and they cost more money. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll put this out there because Robert and I and Jeremy and everybody that's ever fished Carter's, we'd pay money if the DNR, we'd pay the difference if the DNR would put that grade back in there, because them fish, I tell everybody, you catch a 15-pound hybrid, that's like a 40-pound striper.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
they are
so.
just, they're
Yeah.
like a souped up tuna on steroids.
Souped up tuna.
So all them things do, they just run the lake and eat, right?
Well,
That's what a hybrid does.
Them and the striper both. I believe they're constantly moving. We tell everybody they can be up the river as far up as you can go and be down at the dam the next time. You know, I mean, they're just constantly on the go, and that's the reason it makes them, you know, a harder fish to try to
target.
Yeah, and that kind of gets back to what you was talking about, everybody being aggravated with fishing Carters.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing I've seen since the herring has got started is the bait and the fish are always moving. So you can't get too hung up on a spot. I mean, we've just sat there and just crushed them one day and go back there the next day and they're not there. I mean, and you got to be willing to.
If you want to be humble, fish Carters.
Well, that's what I hear.
That's the absolute
That's
truth.
where Jeremiah wants to know, do y'all troll with umbrella rigs and planer boards, or do y'all just fish the spoons and downlines, or do you do a combination of both?
We do everything he just said, but it just depends on
everything
the time
is
of year.
monthly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's just like any fishing, you know, everything's on a timetable, and some things don't work during certain times of year that will work other times
What
of
about
year.
right now?
You really want to know?
We want to know.
Well,
It's
we
about
want
a
to see.
spread of everything. We've caught them anywhere from 15 foot of water to shallower. And then as the sun comes up and the day gets longer, you know, I caught last Saturday, we had a good day and we was fishing 70 foot of water, catch them in 70 foot.
See, now, okay, so you see Cody Jones's comment right there. First of all, he said the late record spot is 7 pounds 3 ounces. Is that does Louis have that record?
Probably.
What was his last
I
name?
wouldn't doubt
Louis
it. Louis Bartonfield.
Bartonfield. Okay, I couldn't hear Josh. But then he comes down here a couple things. He says Carter's would make a great cornfield. So you know what I'm saying? And that's the
people
kind
get
of
frustrated because it's a hard lake to fish. There's
Right.
still a lot of trees in Carters, and Jeremy can tell you, you know, we depend on our electronics.
100%.
I mean, if you ain't got electronics to fish, you might as well stay at home. I mean, you can go fish spots, but like Jeremy was saying, they may be there one day and they may be there 5 minutes, and then the next 5 minutes they're gone. So
right.
if you don't have electronics where you can find the fish, then you're wasting your time. But you know, people get frustrated because they'll give it a time or two and they don't do that good. I'm going to tell you about the first time I went to Carter's. Me and a buddy of mine had went up and called a bunch of gitter shad, and we trove for about planting. It was planting board season, planting boards, and we pulled every stretch of inch of every place I knew. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they blow up. And I don't know how many fish we caught. We caught them till we just couldn't catch them. And but I actually, if I didn't know what I had the late record over again, and then still today. But we put it back. I was fishing a lot of tournaments then, and I won a 40-pounder, but I caught a 38-pounder
Back then,
and that was.
And you didn't turn it in?
No.
Mickey actually his son held the Carter Lake hybrid record for a pretty long while. It's just been beat.
It was going up, and but I tell you, I you know, I grew up on Lanier. You know,
right?
30-pound fish is average fish back when we was fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that was something to brag about, but it wasn't a 40. And when I come up to Carter's, there was no boats. You know, Robert was there, Buddy Callahan, and maybe myself, and every now and then I was telling you, I mean, a lot of days up there you can fish anywhere you want to, never see a boat, you know. And I was spoilt. And then but that's when there wasn't nothing but gitter shad and threadfin in the lake.
Gotcha. Couple of things. First of all, Justin Speece wants to know, is there any good bank fishing spots on Carter's?
They catch a lot of well
okay, so I got two
deep,
different
but
things.
now they over there at the Doll Mountain Boat Ramp, they have a pavilion there.
Right.
You know, I've seen them catch some fish there. they can go. Used to, when Jake's Landing was up, people would come down there and go down to Jake's Landing on the river and bank fish, and they'd catch catfish and occasional striper when it swam by.
I know people still striper fish down there below the dam, correct?
The lower lake,
in the
Spillway.
the spillway.
I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
sure. They got
it's-
like a nice little area.
yeah,
soft concrete and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
Now,
you
they,
could
and
now-
they
he
do
could
catch
do
striper.
that.
They catch
Yeah.
catfish.
Yeah.
That's probably the
Spillway,
best
that'd
spot.
be the best
I
place
went,
to
I
go
went
from
during
there.
Re-reg
high, I
lake,
went
yeah.
during high school throwing underspans right there where the water was
Oh,
coming
yeah.
off, and we'd throw up in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost
I don't call that quarters, but
Yeah,
It is part
of it, yeah.
Actually, and if you don't know where that is, Justin, we call it the re-reg.
right.
Re-reg lake that's down below the dam. A lot of the electric only clubs, they'll go and we have tournaments there too because it's about the size of the lake that we can get in. Problem with that is it's 150 acres one day and it's whatever it is.
10 the next.
Well, no, like I mean, it goes from like what? How big is that thing? About 1,000 acres.
Yeah, I'd say
And
so.
it can just suck down the
Yeah.
river channel.
No,
you
I've
know,
seen
if
it
they're
where it
pumping
wasn't
back
nothing in there but the creek channel.
Yeah,
you
so
know.
they pump. What they do on that lake is they pump it in and pump it out for electrical generation.
Yeah.
Right,
Correct, and we're going to get more into that when we talk about the thermocline or lack thereof
right.
here that we were talking about earlier, like that. So, let's say where we at now. I'm trying to keep up with some of these questions right there.
Fishing at night on Carters. Anything like
Certain
that? for
times
striper,
of the
catfish?
certain times of year it works. You know,
Springtime can be a really good time to go out at night and throw top water
yeah.
and catch anything. You might catch 20-pound striper, hybrid,
Right.
spotted bass.
It's all about the spawn. Y'all gotta remember, everything dictates to what we do with bait.
Okay,
Yeah.
And if the LYs spawn just like the blueback herring and the thread fins, you know, and as it moves up and the full moon nights and it moves shallow up first spawning, them fish move with them,
Mhm.
you know. So
So what would you be targeting if somebody wanted to go for at night and throw top water, try to catch something like that? Just
hypers,
rocky
stripers,
banks?
yeah, rocky points, rocky banks, you know, the bomber long gauge situation on Lanier, y'all remember when it was good. I mean, everybody knows there's certain times of year you can go down there and cast them long points and with bombers and stuff like that, red fins, and I mean, there's nothing like a big old striper exploding on a top water bait.
right.
Mhm.
You know.
That's the truth.
Yeah, actually, Jeremiah Giles had a comment. They'll still bust top water with 40-degree surface temps. Do y'all get that? You know?
Sometimes if they push that bait up and they actually are getting, it's all depending on the fish. You know, them fish, that bait don't come up unless there's something after it. You
Gotcha.
understand
Right.
what I'm saying during
Absolutely.
that temperature? So if they get a group of fish up and, you know, they get after it, they could push the bait up.
Okay. Now we'll go back to you. Did you cut your feet or cut your teeth?
Danny.
Listen, I've been here.
I hope he cuts his toenails.
I have been here. Yeah, I've been here since 8:00 this morning, boys. It's been a long day. Did you cut your teeth striper fishing, or did you come from a bass background?
Striper fishing.
So
Yeah.
you've been striper.
That's all I've.
That's what you like to do.
That's pretty much all I've done the whole time I've been fishing. Is striper fishing. That's what we do. So
All right, and you're different.
Oh, yeah.
You come from the bass background.
Well, not really bass. I mean, I just caught anything I could catch. It's been in my blood since I can remember.
Gotcha.
I'd stay from daylight to dark, and anybody that knows me knows that's how I am.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what got me started. Me and my dad used to crappie fish every Friday and Saturday. And we'd stay all night. I mean, we get there at dark the day before and leave sometimes, you know, 9, 10 o'clock next day.
Right.
We'd crappie fish all night and then bass fish in the morning. But we was tied up under Little Hall Bridge.
Oh yeah.
And everybody, you know, it's no big secret. I had my spot. We like to fish, and we'd go by and get barbecue and stuff like that. But I was sitting there, the white bass quit coming around, and we couldn't figure out why. And I still to this day don't know why. But you know, during that time of the year, I mean, you catch a 2.5 pound white bass on an ultralight, boy, it's fun.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And but I was sitting up there one night, and rod went down, and buddy of mine with me, Wesley Trammell, my dad, and it bowed over, and Daddy was wanting me to cut my line. You know, that thing's gonna have every rod in the boat tangled up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said, untie. So we untied, and that thing pulled us around the lake. But it was about a 10-pound striper on that ultralight rod. And man, I've been hooked from. I mean, there's just nothing like it. I mean, I like to catch big fish.
Right. Well, you know, bass guys complain that this is just
Uh-oh.
Okay, here, we're gonna open it up right here.
Let's go.
Let's
I'm
get it
ready.
going.
We're gonna open
Hey,
it up.
we're 30 minutes in.
The bass guys complain about the striper guys. I don't know, you guys being basically the first real striper guys we've had on here. So I can't necessarily say that the striper guys complain about the bass guys, but I'm just going to assume it happens. So, but there is a real disconnect somewhere between the two. Why do you think that is?
Well, go ahead, Jeremy. You take it. And
Well, I had a guy tell me the other day that he was fishing a bass tournament and had one on reeling it in, and a striper come up and eat it. So I think there's a little bit of
you can't help that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help that.
Well,
but I think there's a
The
little
whole time, yeah.
Well, and I'll admit, the way that we fish, the way that we live bait fish, we cover water, we pull spreads. So a lot of times we do take up a lot of room, and I could see where maybe, that could rub somebody the wrong way. But personally, I don't have any issues with bass fishermen on Carters, because most of the time they're moving. I hang out in one place a longer period of time, and they're on the move. So the
only conflict we really have might be in the springtime when we're pulling big spreads.
Somebody runs to the lines.
Trying to cover, and we got the bank taken up, and they want to get in there to a spot. But what they don't realize is we're not hurting them bass. Yeah, we're gonna catch some occasionally, but I ain't never killed one. I put them back just like I do the stripers.
Right.
And we've caught, Jeremy and I both caught, I ain't no telling how many 5 or 6 pounders, and I have caught one over 7. They like the live bait, but I don't have any conflicts with them.
Okay.
This
must be a Lake Lanier thing.
Well, no, this is like anything. You got to have courtesy for everybody. It's a public lake, and there's going to be some tempers flare up. It don't matter what you do, because everybody's competitive. Everybody wants to, to fish that. But
right.
In the long run, if you respect the person in there with you, we're pulling planting boards and they get mad at us. You know what they'll do? They'll put about half throttle running about 70 miles and wake us out. And we're standing there trying to downline and stuff, but it's cool, man.
That's an interesting comment right there. Gene Jensen, who's the fluke master, known as the fluke master, actually has a video up where some guys are striper fishing with largemouth as bait.
Nah, it ain't happening. That's illegal.
Oh, is it really illegal? I mean, it is
that's
illegal.
A game fish.
Okay,
you're not supposed to catch a crappie or anything like that on the hook and use it. Or no, I take that back. You're not supposed to use it if you catch them in a cast net.
Right.
Trout's the same way.
Okay.
You can't use a rainbow trout for bait if you catch it on a rod and reel. If you buy trout, you got to have your trout receipt. DNR checks you. They'll ask for your trout receipt.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I did not. See, there we go. Dropping some knowledge.
And most of the trout that are farm raised, they're all farm raised. We don't go to the creeks and catch, anything like that.
Okay, yeah. So Ron makes another comment. It's fun navigating the striper boats and the bass boats zooming around each other and stuff like that. So the question, does the beating on the bottom of the boat work as well on these stripers as it does the white bass and the hybrids? Now, what are we talking about beating on the bottom of the boats here?
It's called thumping is what we call it.
Yeah, it's called thumping.
Yeah. It's a pool stick. Every trip that we've had.
Somebody doing that on Lanier. I didn't know.
It is.
I didn't know what the hell they were doing.
It works.
It's the most annoying thing there is.
Okay.
But it does work.
I know we wind up telling this on every trip that I have.
Right.
It's got 2 reasons.
Okay.
The pool stick. One is definitely for the thumping.
Okay.
It's the vibration in the water. I don't know what it does. They come up with that on Lanier and it's spread. It does not work well on Carters at times. It will either do one or two things. It will either fire them fish up or them fish will leave. But most of the time on Lanier, Notley, and different places, it helps your fishing tremendously.
I don't thump on Carters.
No.
I don't. I've tried it, but it's never really worked for me. Now, I have made it work on other lakes, Lanier, Notley, and other places, but Carters, to me, the fish in Carters are more finicky than anywhere you'll ever fish.
What about have hydro waves on your boat to make like a bait fish thing?
I think every boat, boats got their sound in the water, and I don't like when you pulling your planting boards and run your trolling motor, you can hear that.
Like it bouncing off the deck of the boat or something?
Yeah, some of the boats that create a thing, I don't like that sound. I want to slide through the
So you
water.
want to be as quiet as possible.
With planing boards, I do. But now downlining like they're talking about with the thumping, it definitely works.
Yeah, basically what you're trying to do with the thumping is get the fish to come up.
Investigate what's
That
going
goes
on.
back to a thermocline, like you was talking about.
Right.
If you thermoclines at 30 foot, that's the only place you can keep your bait alive. But your fish are down below 30 foot. You've got to
You
thump
gotta
to
pull
get them to
them
come up to where your bait's at.
Okay.
You drop your bait below that thermocline, your bait's dead.
Yeah.
So
we call it dead water.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know.
there's a lot of different things, you know, and a lot of different factors involved with thumping, but I've never been able to make it work on Carters. To me, the more quiet, discreet you can be, like Mickey said, when you can slip in on those fish,
Right.
that's usually when you're going to do better.
Okay. See, we got another comment. Where is he at? Paul. There's a video of some guys on Hartwell or maybe Santee catching big stripers on 14-inch spotted bass. Now, so that is a state law that they're breaking.
If they hadn't changed it, it is, because you're not allowed to catch any game fish. Now, I don't know if you caught them on a hook and put them down there, but I'm not. I mean, you know, we fish with 14, 16-inch baits regular.
Right.
Okay.
The big
but
gizzard.
it's gizzard shad. And I'm not going to try to go catch a spotted bass in my cast net to fish with. I don't know why anybody would.
Do you turn off your sonars?
No, because that's like putting a blindfold on me.
I
Yeah.
never turn
Right.
off my sonar.
I have to be able
what
to see what's
I
going
know
on.
why the
Referring to-
question is the pinging
The
off the
ping is
bottom.
what he's referring to.
Yeah.
I don't think one boat. I mean, it may affect them some. Now I will tell you this: when you get a bunch of boats in one area,
Right.
It affects.
it affects them.
Yeah.
I guess they've kind of realized what's going
But
on.
I mean, to me, I just soon go home if I ain't got my sonar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, because even though I might be fishing areas that have been good to me in the past, I still need to know if they're there that day or
Well,
not.
you need to know your depth.
There you go. Right.
And, you know, if there's any structure down there, and, you know, like even when we down lines, you know, it's different depths. We're looking at that depth finder and we're trying to see where the bait is in relation to the fish. And I will say this: I've always been told that a fish can come up, but very seldom will they go down to hit a bait. That's the reason their eyes are on. I mean, it may, I can't prove it,
Right.
you know, but we do fish a couple feet off the bottom during certain times of the year and catch fish. And,
Right.
But most of the time, a fish is always going to come up to hit.
Right.
And,
Okay.
you know, I think a lot of people fish too deep sometimes.
That
So
makes sense.
let me ask you this: Carter's is a generation lake. We know they pull current. Does that help the striper bite? I mean, what kind of work like Tennessee
I
River?
think
Will it turn it
anytime the
on?
water gets to moving,
If the water's warmer, if the
Mhm.
water's on the warmer side and they're generating, it's going to help you
It'll
bite.
turn them on.
I've seen it turn them on like a light
Okay.
switch. I've seen them shut off when they quit too.
Now is Carter's kind of like Tennessee River or anything like that? Will the water actually, you can start seeing the water move and it'll pull the boat?
You're
or is
not
it
going to
just-
see it move, but in places, you know, if you watch it, if they're pulling a lot, you'll see the water level coming
Start
down
slowly.
on
But
the
it ain't-
bank.
it ain't gonna be
I've
pulling
seen
any
it
boats and stuff.
fluctuate 5 or 6 feet in a morning of fishing
Now,
sometimes.
you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, Carter's, the release it's deep. I mean, it's down,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it's not like Buford Dam or anything. It comes like through a pipe or something like that. Correct?
Okay.
Am I-
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a different
So
setup.
I don't know exactly how it works up there.
Yeah. So
Well,
like
since
that,
you're
so-
on that, we might as well talk about the pump back.
well, let's go ahead. You talk about the pump back. Tell us about the pump back.
I hate it.
Well, tell everybody out there what is the pump back. That's not
Never
familiar with
heard
Okay,
about
Carter's
pump
is
back.
one of the few lakes that generates water that can actually, we have a lower reservoir, which is what we call the re-reg. And when excess water gets in the lake, they can put that water generating power going out. Okay.
Into the re-rig.
Into the re-reg,
re-reg.
yeah.
But Carter's Lake, they can actually pull that water back from the little reservoir back into the big lake. So if in the summertime, if you've got, you know, if it's 10 or 12 foot deep, you know, that water's going to warm up a lot quicker than 80 to 200 foot deep water.
Right.
So that puts warm water back into the lake, therefore does not let our thermocline set up.
Right.
Uh,
Which we talked about earlier upstairs for the show.
Yep.
Let me hit this real quick before we stick on that. Chris Nation. So game fish may be used as live bait where live bait is legal if they are taken legally. and you do not exceed the daily creel and possession limits. But still, who the heck wants to catch a striper on the spot?
Well, I mean,
Well, I guess
back
some of
when
them
I
guys-
fished Lanier,
and
I
some of them
bass
lakes
fished
might.
before.
Yeah.
And they're all trying to catch the bigger bait. Certain time of the year, these fish are eyes as big as their belly. You know, it's
They're
just like
looking
you
at
and
the
I.
plate size
Yeah.
I
biscuits
mean,
and stuff.
sometimes it takes a big bait to get their attention.
A bass is probably going to be harder for a fish to eat than what a shad would be.
Yeah.
You know about gizzard shad. I mean, you can get that big profile that you need certain times of the year, but they're not just, you know.
I'm gonna ask you this. I've done a little striper fishing. When we're pulling gizzard shad, it's usually on we just cast it out behind the boat and leave it by itself. Are y'all putting them things on planer boards and stuff like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've done everything, man.
Okay.
I've tried it all.
Planer boards.
Planing boards.
Back in the
I
day,
tried it
back in
all.
Mickey's day,
Yeah.
you know,
Hey, he's not that old. You gotta remember.
back in Mickey's.
How long you been doing this, Mickey?
Ever since I can remember. But I
Man, that's a long
That's a
time.
long time.
no, seriously,
That could be
y'all.
40
I mean,
years.
you know, we didn't have. I played sports, played every sport there was. But in our spare time, we fished.
Yeah.
And we camped a lot. You know, I trout fish, I catfish, you know. But there was something that night that happened when I caught the first striper. And then
Light bulb moment.
I wanted to, you know, everybody's big thing is when you catch a 5-pound bass, you want a 10-pound bass, you know.
Yep.
And then,
Agreed.
you know, you get to a point where, you know, you can't catch a 100-pound bass.
Right.
But I'm trying.
Absolutely. Now we're getting ready to have the question of the week, and we're going to come back to the thermocline because that's something I really want, because I just found that a really interesting topic. Y'all got me a question yet?
Brian has got the question.
So
of the week.
here's what happens when you get so busy, you get ready for a live broadcast, and all of a sudden you go, I done forgot the question of the
Yep.
week. I didn't even get it. So here it is. This is the True Grit question of the week. And if this is not correct, we're going to blame it on Blake and Brian.
Brian, you can look this up to find it correct.
Can you look at, I mean, is
Okay.
it a
All
really
right.
hard, hold on, so let me tell them what they're going, is it a really doozy question? So you guys get ready with all your,
Somebody's gonna get
somebody, Nathan will probably get
it.
it.
Yeah, somebody's gonna jump
Um,
online.
Let's see. Okay. I was just seeing some of the guys real quick. So let's try to stay in that area of the comments so I can come back to them here in a second. But anyway, let's go with the True Grit question of the week. You'll get a True Grit prize pack courtesy of me, because I'm going to be tying them.
Okay. Well,
So
hey,
there you go.
Danny,
Courtesy of True Grit.
Danny's learning, guys, but they're
I
starting
am
to look
getting-
good.
I am,
They're starting to
they're
look good.
starting to look good. I'm getting better at it now.
All right. So when fighting a tarpon, also known as the Silver King, what technique is essential for the angler to do when the tarpon goes airborne during the fight? And what is the phrase used when referring to the technique?
Good Lord, what a question.
Hey,
Now,
that's me
who's
and
supposed to
Brian.
answer that?
No, you ain't
we
gotta
can't-
answer.
Hey,
Oh.
you do some tarpon fishing, don't you?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
you knew
that.
that right
You
off
know
the
the
bat.
answer?
I know that.
Oh, yeah, don't say that.
You-
Okay, so you just keep,
Oh, hey,
Paul.
Yep.
Yep.
Bow to the king, baby.
bow to the king.
Yep.
Hey, when she comes
That's
up,
what my wife says.
you
Yep.
putting that rod down.
Huh?
It's fun, man.
Okay, so that's
When that
bow
fish-
to the king.
When that fish comes up, jumping and acting all aerobatic, or
Aerobatic.
however you
See, don't
say
say
it.
nothing about
Acrobatic.
cutting the foot.
Yeah.
All right.
You're putting that rod tip down so it ain't slinging that hook.
All right.
And that's bow to the king.
Now,
Bow
I'm
to
going
the
to tell
king.
you the difference between that and what we do. And Jeremy and I can both tell you the biggest reason fish are lost is because of slack line.
Yep.
Slack line.
That's why you bow.
Mhm.
You bow.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you always want to have tension. And I tell folks, you know, our drags are set up to where that fish can take line, because if you don't, it don't. I mean, if you catch a 30-pound fish and you got the drag locked down, you know, he's gonna break whatever
Mhm.
line
He's
you
gonna- he's
got,
gonna
or
bend
if he
that hook
runs
or that
across
line.
the tree. So you gotta let them play themselves out. But if
Gotcha.
you'll hold tension at all times, your success rate will be 100% higher.
Okay. 100%, huh?
Well, you know,
Maybe not
Yeah, 'cause
one.
that ain't-
Maybe
that
not
don't
one.
wanna-
well, they
always
got
work
gill
for me now.
plates.
You're not going to get them all in.
You're not gonna
No,
get 'em
they
all in,
got,
that's
they
right.
got gill plates, and if that, you know, if they hit a bait and that bait turns and that line runs in that gill plate, it can be over with like
It's
that.
snappy.
I got
It's
you.
like
I
a
got
razor
It's very
blade.
sharp.
I love it.
Absolutely got you. All right. Well, congratulations, Paul,
Good job, Paul.
for getting that so quick.
That was a
actually-
little too easy,
Listen,
I think.
it must have been, because I was still trying to remember the entire question, and
Come on,
somebody had
Brian.
already answered that. So congratulations. And while we are at it, I want to tell everybody that tomorrow night, you heard Blake mention it a little bit earlier. Fish North Georgia will be broadcasting live from Jimbo's Southern Outdoor Show at the Infinite Energy Forum tomorrow night from 5 to 9. It'll be open, I believe, tomorrow night is for vendors. So if you are out near Duluth and you want to come on by, I think the tickets, are $15. That might be, I think that's what it said. You can get them, you can do it online, or I guess you can get them right there the day of. If you walk up, I'm not really sure about that, but it does say seminar tickets are sold separately. When that will be the Saturday. The seminars are all on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. But tomorrow night, we'll be doing a marathon 4-hour live show. So
come hang out.
Yeah, come hang out. And what I think is, I'm pretty sure Jimbo will be bringing some of the vendors by to sit down with us, and basically we'll be doing what we're doing now for 4 hours. So
shooting the shit and hanging out.
That's
all it's going to be.
That's kind of how we do things right here. So, but anyway, guys, seriously, come on out. A lot of great companies there, a lot of local companies, and some. I'll just give you some example. Of course, you'll have Shimano there. Hammond's will have a booth there. Viking Fiberglass Repair will be there. The Dugout, Cigar, 400 Inc. Our friends Carrie Bell will be there. Mike and Pam at Georgia Blade will be there. So companies like that. So you'll get to tour the vendor booths tomorrow night for 4 hours. And then the main show is Saturday from 8 to 7. They'll have the speakers, the seminars, and the vendors and all that stuff.
Do you know how many vendors will be?
I will say it's in around 45, 50. Okay. We're getting close.
So we got to go by COVID protocol, I guess, mask.
I'm sure. I guess I'll have to ask Jimbo.
Yep. Okay.
So, but I'm sure they will do the best they can with the COVID. Okay. Free workshops, Shimano Fishing School. So shop, learn, and explore. But anyway, if you can't make it, right here on YouTube tomorrow, 5:00, we'll be live. You can sit there and watch the whole thing. If you got nothing to do tomorrow afternoon, there's no football games on or anything like that. So just turn it on YouTube channel at Fish North Georgia and just sit back, and we will. You'll basically be able to see what's going on and might find something that you like and want to visit Saturday. So,
like I said, guys, come by. Yeah, we'll be there.
It'll be a good time. So, let's get back to the conversation. Now
I seen this comment that Fluke put up.
What is that?
There used to be a school of giant striper that followed bass boats into the docks at weigh-in on Clark's Hill. They'd eat the released fish. He's got a video on it.
Oh, I don't know that.
The people throwing the bait in, seen it happen on Lanier, be the end of the day or something, and you got a half a bait tank full of fish left, and you throw them back, and all of a sudden the fish fire up.
Yep. All right. Hey, real quick, Fluke Master will be there both days.
Okay.
So everybody, if you want to go see Gene,
maybe he'll stop by and say hey.
Huh?
Maybe he'll say hey.
These fish are designed predators
to eat.
That
is what they do.
They're on our freshwater lake. There's nothing like them. They're all they want to do is eat and swim. So
okay, now before we had the question of the week, we've kind of hit on it just on the edges a little bit about the thermocline. Now I asked you specifically upstairs, and the reason I asked this was because y'all were talking about catching fish in 100 foot of water, and I said, well, okay, what about a thermocline on Carter's? And you said no. Now, what's the reason why there's no thermocline on Carter's?
I think it goes back to that back pump that Mickey was talking about. It has to have something to do with the generation or the back pump that keeps it from setting up a thermocline, because Lanier sets up thermocline, Notley sets up thermocline. The bigger lakes that maybe don't generate water as much, or they don't even do a back pump, sets up thermocline. But for us at Carter's, you might catch a suspended fish at 30 foot. But you might have one shoot up off the bottom in 90 foot of water and hit too.
Now, is that no thermocline? Is that going to be killing the fish or making them real weak?
See, we don't. That's the reason our other conversation that we got in upstairs. It can't help the lake. But these lakes that we have around here are designed. Y'all have heard about Lanier and the water down in Florida and everything. These lakes are designed for power.
Yep.
They don't. I don't think they cater to us fishermen. Yeah. But, the back pump, you're putting, especially in the summertime, it's 90 degrees. The humidity is 85 or 90%. That water temperature gets up in the 80s, and then they're taking all that water.
The cool water.
We have a turnover Everybody knows
Yep.
about that.
Yep.
The cool water comes up to the top, and it changes every time. But that's one thing. It's almost like when they start back pumping, a lot of a turnover again.
Okay. So when they're back pumping, are they pulling hot water back into the lake,
Well,
or do you know exactly?
Whatever
the
temperature
temperature is on the re-reg is what's going to be coming
Yeah,
back.
I would
be
say it's
coming
gotta
back in?
Now, Chris Nation and Fluke, if you're out there, you might can speak into this well in the comments. Rocky Mountain has a thermocline, and I believe somebody mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
That Rocky Mountain is a similar type lake pumping back and forth.
So I didn't know that.
So I don't know. That's what I'm getting
I've
ready to ask.
I've fished a
I didn't
lake
know.
since the 90s, and I've never seen a thermocline
You've never
on
seen a
Carter.
thermocline on Carter's.
No.
Because Rocky's a much smaller lake, but I just mentioned somebody said it up there, and I couldn't get back to it. Warm water discharges are great winter spots for striper and bass. I would say that, but let me ask you this: on Carter's, when they bring the water back into, let's say, yes, it doesn't pump back and forth. Those are the other lakes. Okay, I got you. All right, so not East and West Antioch. So, they are those are the ones that are off limits. Okay, we're talking Rocky Mountain. It's a PFA up above Rome. So I just was noticing that in the comments. Now, the way Carter's is set up, that pump that sucks it out, that pipe is down a couple 100 feet, if I'm not mistaken.
I
Is it
don't
not?
know
100.
exactly.
Were you talking about where it goes out of Carter's?
Is that 100
It's
foot
about
deep?
100 feet deep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so does the water go back in through that pipe as well, or does that come through another pipe?
That's above my pay scale.
Yeah.
I
More
don't
I was
really
just
know.
than
curious.
likely, if they're pumping it back in, they probably got a pump station down there, and it's coming back up
Yeah.
through that.
I-
They got a
that
pump
might
station down
be.
there more than likely.
So I was just curious because he was talking about warm water.
Yeah.
How cold?
I was
it could be
just
cold
talking
at one
about the
point.
depth of the re-reg is nothing like the depth of.
Obviously, it's not. Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
20, 25 foot.
and
is
a lot
deep.
when that thing's full, and if you ever been by it, sometimes you go down there and it's just a creek channel.
Absolutely,
I mean,
yep.
that's only the water in the lake, and then
Yep.
That's the
sometimes you
best
go
time
down
to
there and
fish
it's
They're centered up, ain't they, right there?
and then sometimes you go up there and it's in the banks and everything.
Okay.
So
All
Y'all
right.
ain't on the lower lake striper fishing, are you?
they do.
There's people that do, but we normally
Stay on the big lake.
fish the upper lake.
Okay.
Lower
Well,
pipes, okay.
let's say
Very
if you
good.
had a trip planned and you was planning to go to the re-reg and you got over there and there wasn't no water,
Oh, you might as
and
well
there's
load it up,
6
take it up.
boats over there.
I actually
you
know people that have been out there when there was water and got caught as it
has
was pulling
happened.
down, and they
Oh
Mhm.
man.
was stuck until the water come back up the next
Yes.
day.
I mean, that would be,
Oh, wow.
what are you going to do with your customers?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I know folks try it, and it's just too risky.
That's a lot of guys in the electric only things will go way on back when that re-reg is full as far as you can, and they'll start pulling.
If you see it
And they
dropping,
can't-
you better get
yeah,
out of
and
there.
they only in trolling motors, so they don't have enough to get back.
Better hit
Yeah,
that
and
river.
I'll say this: the re-reg's never been stocked. So what stripers and hybrids are there is what comes through, gets sucked through from the dam.
Right. Well, I tell you, there's some nice ones in there. Though.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
there's
you
some
just gotta
monsters
be
in
And
there.
bass too.
Okay. All right. So we've talked a lot about Carter's for the first hour. You guys fish more lakes than just Carter's. Now I noticed on your Facebook page you fish Blue Ridge.
I don't fish Blue Ridge, but
No.
the one of the guys, Lynn Slay, that works with us, he does all of our Blue Ridge trips.
Okay.
So the only thing I know about Blue Ridge that I can tell you is it don't have any stripers. It's a bass lake.
okay. So
It's strictly bass, walleye, perch,
Perch.
catfish, stuff like that.
perch.
Yeah.
So you do guided perch trips,
Well, we just do live bait trips on Blue Ridge. You
and it
get
just whatever you get, you
whatever's
get.
biting best that day.
Okay.
Y'all
I
have
got
any
you.
luck catching any smallies up there?
They used to. I've been up there when
Lynn's
you
caught some 5 pound
I mean,
smallmouth.
recently though.
Yeah, they caught a 5 pound smallmouth up there last summer.
Okay. 'Cause
They-
I know they've started restocking.
Well,
and they're
there
trying to
for
get
a
the
while
spots
they
out.
was telling you the spots. They wanted that to be a smallmouth lake, and then I believe they had a sign up at the ramps.
Take
and
the
this
spots
somebody correct us if I'm wrong on this,
Yeah,
but
keep
if
the
you caught a
spots.
spot, you
Take
needed
it.
to keep it.
Take it.
Yeah.
So
That's a
I
good
think
place
it's-
to
I think-
fry a
I
spot.
think
If you want
it's
some
still
food,
like
if you
that.
want, a lot of people like to eat spots like that. If you want to
Go
do it
up
with
there
go up there and catch them like that.
boat.
Yeah.
Back, I got another Carter's question. Does the lake still hold a good temp with no thermocline?
well, no, the server temperature might be 80,
Right.
and that's the reason we're fishing 100-foot deep.
Yeah, the fish
uh,
can find cool.
They're going to move around
That's
till
it. I
they
remember
find good water.
I remember. I wanted to go back to that because I knew there was something I was forgetting about Carter's, but I just can't believe you guys are talking about with this no thermocline. You're catching spot. What's the deepest spot you've ever caught? some of these bass guys.
Probably called 70 or 80 feet.
70 or 80 foot spotted bass.
Yeah, I've caught them 70, 80 foot deep, but most of the time you might catch them out over deep water, but they might be up at 30, 40 foot suspended, but they're out over deep water where most people wouldn't think to look.
I mean, but right out in the middle of nowhere.
The reason we find them is because we're looking for bait, and because that's usually where stripers are. And like Mickey said earlier upstairs, you find bait, you're gonna catch. You may catch spots, you may catch stripers, hybrids, walleye. We've been in places where we've caught everything Carter's has to offer in one spot.
Yep.
So
it's all about the bait. You find the bait, you find the fish.
Yeah, and another thing I want to say too is, for anybody that's trying to, starting out striper fishing, you first have got to figure out the bait fish. There's all different kinds of bait fish. You got gizzard shad, you got these herring, these LYs, threadfin shad. We use trout in the wintertime. I've caught big fish on shiners in the wintertime.
Crappie menace.
Yeah, there's all different kinds. So you have to learn.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You learn the bait and you figure the bait out, you'll figure the fish out.
This is what most people don't realize. You can't fish big baits all the year. You can't fish little baits all the year. What you try to do with the gizzard shad, they go to shallow water to spawn.
Right.
Okay. And they move back to the back. Numbers. We used to have a ton of gizzard shad in Carter's, but not so many anymore. Something happened to them. I've been told pH got high and they all died. I don't know. But you need to try any type of fishing you do, whatever them fish are feeding on is what you need to be fishing.
Yep.
It's the rule of thumb. If, like trout fishing, the mayflies or whatever they call them, when they go to spawning, that's what everybody's trying to mimic. Okay. During certain times of year, we want the threadfin herring because that's what the fish are feeding on. Right now, I'm going to go ahead. Everybody knows the fries about that big that they're feeding on. If you catch one, they're going to throw, you catch a bass and he's full of them, he spits them up. Look what size it is. Yep. Okay. I ain't saying they won't hit a big bait because they will. But I always try to match. If me and Jeremy goes down and we're throwing our nets and catching baits and they're all 5 or 6 inches, guess what we're going to be fishing with? 5, 6 inches. If they're all 3 to 4, that's what we're going to be fishing with. But I would encourage anybody to try to match I love pulling. Everybody knows I'm a gizzard fisherman. There ain't one too big I don't think you can't pull.
They'll eat it eventually. One's
a guy told me
if they ain't big enough to eat it, I like to see them try to eat it.
Yeah. I had a guy tell me a long time ago when I first started. He said, if you think your bait is too big, it's probably just right.
That's right.
Or it may not even be big enough, which that applies for spring and fall. Maybe like you say, not all the time, but because I've caught big fish on little baits.
Yeah.
Does water clarity affect your fishing? Example, the past couple of years, the flooding in the winter.
It's affected us tremendously.
Making it better.
There was a month or two last year that we couldn't even hardly get our boats in.
Yeah, when the water, usually Carter's is super clear, which is another challenge in itself. Then you're looking at, you got to, use light leaders.
So them fish will get real picky to clear that water.
The water,
it's like any fishing. To clear the water, they can see everything you do.
I like a little dingy, not
a little
heavy
chop,
stain,
a little dinge,
light stain.
It's good.
But if it gets too stained, then the fish are not going to be able to see your bait, and then it goes back to you're going to have to put it right in front of them.
Right in front of them. Okay. All right, I got you. You guys keep bringing on the striper questions and stuff like that. So there's not a place to buy bait close to Carter's. What would you advise someone coming up there to do?
Well, there is bait stores on Lanier. You got Hammond's, you got Oakwood, you got Sherry's.
You got to have the ability to keep it alive and transport.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to put this in there. Y'all do a lot of bass fishing, and a lot of y'all guys, y'all have the artificial stuff down to a science. We feel like we've got the live bait stuff down to a science, even though a lot of people may think it's simple. But the catching and the transporting and the keeping of the shad and having good bait is everything in what we do.
Absolutely.
You can kill them shad very easily.
Like my wife gets very mad because I spend more time out in my bait room than I do at home.
Taking care of your
okay.
baits.
A lot of times.
This is going to give.
I got you.
I just want to let folks know how important the bait is. Okay. and I used to be one of them. You know, if you go to the store and you buy 2 or 3 dozen, you're going to be fishing all day long, you're not going to be likely to change out that bait as much.
Right.
Bait presentation on live bait is the one most important thing that we do. It's got to be pretty. It's got to be fresh. These gizzards get what we call they turn red, and that means they're on their way out.
Okay.
They're ugly.
Red
And,
nose.
Red nose.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
they don't perform right. Okay. Me and Jeremy likes the perfect bait. You got most of the bait tanks now anywhere from $400 to $700 and something.
Yeah.
And then we run an oxygen on our baits and everything else. I know all these bass fishermen put oxygen in there to keep the bass alive. We're doing everything possible that we can do. We add salt. Yeah. We run filter systems. I mean, I just can't tell you. It's different than going fishing with cured bait. Like on Lanier and everything, you just put some water in the bait tank, put a little oxygen to them, and they'll be okay. You'll be able to fish today.
But when you start transporting them things,
fresh bait is a lot trickier to deal with,
and it's going to throw off all that ammonia. It's going to lose all the scales where we're pulling it in with our nets and dumping it into our bait tank. So, a lot of people struggle. They can't figure out how to keep it alive. Well, it's hard, and even we struggle at times. You know,
right? How do you rig your gizzards?
Oh man, there's a lot of different.
I've downlined 12-inch gizzards before, so it all depends on what you're doing. I like a Kale hook. Jeremy likes the octopus hook. I fish a Kale.
Yeah, and you can run stingers. Some people like running a stinger hook, which is a treble hook tied from your main hook. Sometimes I've seen times when you're missing fish, so you throw a stinger hook on there, and then they won't even touch it.
Yeah.
So it's aggravating,
right?
You know, but
I've learned one thing: it is crazy how picky them stripers can be.
They can be, you know. But at the same time,
hook, or do you nose hook like you would? Like,
I do.
You do? Do you nose hook with yours?
I go this way.
So you go sideways.
I go sideways.
Oh yeah. Well, now I do sideways on my gizzards.
Well, I'm going. This is old school. You know, bass shiner Danny when we were farm pond fishing. There was 2 ways to do it. You come up through the bottom and out between the 2 nostrils up top, or we stuck them through the back.
Yeah.
So you're saying you come sideways.
I go sideways with a gizzard shad.
Okay.
With herring or thread fins, I go up through the upper lip. I don't like, for some reason, I've never liked hooking them through the bottom lip and the upper lip. I feel like they swim better if they're just go up their upper lip right out.
Well, you
nose.
look and see what that fish is doing. You can watch them in your bait tank. Their mouth ain't always closed.
Yeah.
Okay. And the most of the problem people have is where the little scales get into the bait tank, and and you don't have a filter system. So therefore, the scales are going in them fish's mouth, and it's actually choking them. Yeah. They can't breathe.
What size hook? Depending on the size shad. I mean, we fished anywhere from 4-inch shad up to 15-inch shad. Yeah. So on a bigger shad, I'm on.
That's a keeper spot.
I fish with gizzards that probably went over 2 pounds and seen them eat.
Are they good eating? You ever ate a shad?
Oh no, their bloody is all get out.
I've cut one open. I've cut one open. I don't want to eat it.
Okay, there you go.
What they do, they eat all the stuff off the bottom. They're kind of.
I was trying to answer the man's question about the hook size. What would you run, Mickey? 5-aught, 6-aught?
I'd like, it all depends on the size of the bait. Okay. But what you want is you don't want a little bitty bait and a hook that big.
Yeah. Okay? You gotta match it.
You need to match your hook to the bait. About as big as I'll go, even with a big shad. Now I'll run a stinger just about every time on a 15-inch bait, because a lot of times these fish, what they do is they're going to come up and kill it. Okay. Then they can do it simultaneously where they can come up and kill that fish and then swallow it in the next breath, and you not even know they do it.
So what, when you say they're coming up and killing it, they coming up and nosing it, just trying to paralyze it?
They'll knock them.
I've seen them come 3 foot out of the water, knocking them out of the water.
What about that comment up there, Jeremiah? Your bait tank needs to be round because they'll beat themselves to death.
It don't need to have any corners.
That's he's exactly right. I used to have square bait tanks, and they would get in the corners and nose up, and they're so stupid they can't figure out how to back up, so they just sit there
They
and
just
beat
sit there
themselves.
and beat themselves to death.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to Hammond's and Jeremy and I both had
They move.
septic
They move
tanks,
a lot of bait
you know,
though.
they eventually, you need it. If you're going to fish with something in your boat, it's got to be round.
Got to be round. Okay.
Yeah, and my home tanks are round now too.
Mine are too.
Can we talk about how y'all do y'all's home tanks? Because I'm sure there's a lot of guys that, hey, we're giving some secrets out, right?
I don't care. It ain't.
Well, I
look
mean,
on
it's-
the internet. They're on the internet.
Yeah, it's
So
mainly
y'all just doing your own
a good
stuff,
filter
basically.
system, a
Right.
UV light.
You got to have water moving.
Okay.
UV light, filter
Oxygen.
system, and salt.
What's the deal?
Airstone.
What's the deal with the UV light?
It purifies the water.
Okay, for the water. Okay.
Yeah.
Keeps the
All right.
water cleaner.
It
clear.
eats all the bacteria. The salt hardens the water.
Okay.
It don't make it so harsh, and it allows them fish to the scales won't flake off them as bad. You got to have salt if you got any bait
Yeah,
tank.
and a lot of people. I used to think that you had to have current, like a lot of current moving, but I have learned since that you got to have oxygen and good water quality, good pH.
Right.
But if you got a bunch of current, them baits are sitting there having to.
We
work.
would run oxygen
Gotcha,
year
gotcha.
round.
They wear
If
themselves
it
out.
wasn't
Yeah.
green bait, I would never run my filter if I could go buy bait from Hammond's or Sherry's or bait or Oakwood, because you just don't need it. That bait most time is cured. You're not going to get the
Once
scales.
you-
You're going to get a little bit from the purge, but with Jeremy and I, the filtration system is the most important thing because of the green bait.
Okay.
Yeah, once you purge them out, bait's a lot easier to deal with and keep.
What do you mean
But-
by purging out?
That's where
They empty
poop
out.
and empty
Okay.
out.
When you
and-
catch fresh bait, they're gonna.
Okay.
I mean,
mess everywhere.
I just can't tell you how gross it is.
And that's
So
another thing.
that's when you are
I
casting
bet
them,
it is.
correct?
Yeah,
Put them in
and
y'all's live
I've caught fish on purge bait. Some people say you gotta have fresh bait. I ain't gonna say you gotta have fresh bait. I
Sometimes
like
that
fresh
purge bait
but
in the summertime is better.
sometimes
it
purge
lives
bait will
longer.
last longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We got well, before I get that question, I'm gonna ask you a question that I've got. I went on a trip. Y'all know Cy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Cy took my son and I on a river up on the Coosa, just in Rome,
Mhm.
on a striper thing. And he took the bait, which was gizzards, and he cut them,
Cut
And-
baiting.
Yeah.
throwed it on the bottom like for
Just like
catfish.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys do anything like that? Or
Certain times
It's a
of the
last
year,
resort for me, but I mean,
I thought it was amazing because it was just like catfish, and I didn't
Now,
realize the striper
those
would do that.
stripers will eat cut bait.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they're
And-
bottom
and-
feeders.
and
too.
here-
they'll
yeah.
eat anything, man.
And
I've
here's
caught them
the
on
thing.
chicken livers.
Yeah.
I
Here's
thought those things.
listen.
It has to be a damn live bait to get a
No,
striper
no.
to eat.
No.
And here's the thing: is what he would do is he would take that fish and he would cut the tail off, throw it away, cut the head off, throw it away, slice it up. As long as it had the guts in it, the stripers would hit it. When we were in the river, and then if one line wasn't getting big, he goes, "It ain't got no guts left in it." He would reel it up, and every single time
He was
guts
using the
were
centerpiece.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. So he would use it. It had to have guts. So I was just curious if on a lake, on a
Oh
reservoir,
yeah, it works.
If I'm in a place where I can cut bait,
Mhm.
if I know those fish are there, they're coming up, they're blowing up on my live baits, but they're just not taking them. But I know they're in that area. That's one of the first things I'm gonna try
it's cut bait.
is cut bait at least for 30 minutes. And if they're anywhere in the area, sometimes that cut bait
that is absolutely
will
wild.
get the bite when the live. Even though I love pulling live baits, I love seeing them come up.
and blowing it up.
But if it ain't happening, sometimes you have to try. something
That's what I mean. See, I just remember that and he would tell me, he goes, "You ain't gonna catch nothing on the tail. You can catch it on the head. It's got to have gut." And that was what he would say.
What-
Got to have the guts.
Well,
You know why?
my experience.
What was he trying to tell you?
Well, it was that scent,
The
what it
smell.
was, the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And,
I just thought that was crazy.
I've,
Yeah.
I've
No, we've-
always thought them things. If there's a striper, you might catch one on artificial bass tackle or live bait. I
No,
did
they'll
not
hit.
know
The
that.
They'll
head is
hit
the best part.
artificial too.
He
Now,
wouldn't
don't
use
think
it,
they won't.
Jeremiah. I'm telling you, he wouldn't use it. But that was just that one trip. But I mean, now we caught catfish. Now he did have some that had he would throw under a float up on the thing, but we would park in the river, and if we were stationary, we would throw it'd be
Well,
cut
see,
bait on the
them
bottom.
fish are moving back and forth in the river,
Yeah.
and you're wanting to keep your baits there. So when them fish come by, and that's going to draw their
We-
And
attention.
you
we
know
used
it
to-
when they got hold of
Yeah,
it. Too.
we used to get waxed at Lanier in the wintertime. We'd be all out there trying to cut bait in the winter, and the water's 40 something degrees. And there's these guys on the bank cut baiting, and they're dragging in 30 pounders and putting them on.
And y'all
stringers.
were pulling
and
live bait.
we're sitting there watching these people from the bank catching fish. So cut bait can be effective.
I thought it was the neatest thing. Got a question about sonar up there. Where were we at? It was up a couple. Yeah, right up there. What about electronics? 2D down or side imaging, and preference on which is better to
All
spot them?
the above.
Well, there you go.
He just says,
Just
turn it on
turn it
and
on.
see what it says.
Yeah,
Turn it
Well,
that's why they keep getting bigger and bigger, and you got to have all these different screens. But
That's right.
I look at my sonar and my side imaging, and probably my mapping is probably my biggest things, because contours and points and ditches and humps and stuff can be pretty important. I like to have my map on, just so if I come across something, I can look and see what I'm on. So the side imaging has come a long ways, and it helps a lot. I love my side imaging on my Humminbird.
I like the side imaging for finding fish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
You got to remember what we're doing is we're running down looking for fish, and anytime the most important thing is be able to find the fish as soon or as much fish as possible. Okay. With a side image, you can tell if how your depth finder reads, you can tell if they're on your left or they're on the right. So you know which way to turn the boat. Now I'm different from Jeremy. Once I find the fish, I run my sonar and my down image. And perfect prime example to me, trip we had the other day, we had bait from 80 foot to 40 foot everywhere.
Right.
And I knew there had to be fish there, and I couldn't mark them. And on my down image, if you got I run a Lowrance, Jeremy runs a Humminbird, but
very good. Is there a reason
if
why?
you'll see,
Is there a reason
because
why?
I'm a Lowrance man, that's what I've always
That's
done.
what you've always used. Okay.
I've used Lowrance for 10 years, but Bill Carson hooked me up with the Humminbird this last time, and I like both of them.
Okay, I was just curious if
Yeah.
there was a specific,
No.
just what just what you've always used.
Yeah,
That's what you used.
but
Okay.
on my down image, I kept seeing these white dots, real bright.
Right.
There'll be a little brighter than that bait, and on the down image, you ain't gonna see all the. You just gotta know what you're looking for.
Right.
Being able to read your depth finder. So I mean, you can ask Jeremy, it paid off for me. I mean, I dropped it down there, I could hit them in the head, and they bit finally.
Right.
But I love my down image.
Okay.
Yeah,
and it lets you, like, if you got a tree down there and you're not sure what it is, with a down image, it's a structure.
Mhm.
It
Right.
ain't just a rock, and you can even see, like, in the trees, we have a lot of trees on Carter's, and Jeremy can tell you, with your down image, you can actually see that fish inside the tree better than you can on the sonar.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What about, okay, so let's talk about rods and line on your basic setup, I guess.
It's a little different if they're dragging or
Yeah, I mean, so
free-floating,
what do
or-
you,
A common setup for a striper rig for what we do is 15, 20 pound main line. We
Mhm.
use mono for our main line, and then anywhere from a 12 to 15 pound leader. There again, that goes back to, you want to match. You don't want to use 20, 30 pound test on a little old bitty bait.
Mhm.
You might get by with heavier line on a big bait, but if you're using a thread fin or a herring, you probably gonna want to go more on the lighter side.
okay,
Live bait fishing is all about presentation.
right.
So the more natural that bait looks, the more of a chance
So
it's
y'all
got
are
to
probably
get neat.
changing leaders a lot, probably about every morning.
Yeah,
right?
when I'm downlining,
Every trip we retie.
Yeah,
I mean,
depending on
when
what
I
bait
get
y'all
home in the
catching.
evening, that's the first thing I do is retie all my leaders, because just so much can happen. And
Yeah,
when you got folks paying the fish, you want them to catch every fish that bites.
Oh, exactly.
pay attention to your bait when you put it in the water.
Change it out if it don't look right.
See how it's swimming. You
Yeah.
know, if it ain't swimming like it should naturally,
you got to constantly change your bait.
something's got to be. You
Within
gotta do something.
If
What
you ain't
length
had a
leader?
bite in 2 or 3 minutes, change it.
Yeah. What length leader do you use?
It all varies.
Yeah, down lining anywhere from a 5 to 8 foot. When you're planer board fishing, you're running planer board free lines, fishing up shallow. I don't think it really matters. I mean, 4, 5, 6 foot leader.
Explain downlining for somebody that might be out there watching this that has no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, a lot of people refer to it as line side fishing, but we say downlining.
Downlining, right?
It's just you're using a 1 3/4 or 1.5 ounce to 2 ounce weight with a leader, and putting your bait on there and dropping it down to wherever you're seeing the fish on the sonar. You're getting baits down to where maybe you couldn't get a bait down to if you were pulling a planer board.
Right.
Or, there's times on Carters where if you don't get that bait down below the surface, whether it be a downline weight or a split shot, if it ain't below the surface, they're not going to touch it.
Okay.
And then I've seen times where if it ain't on the surface, they ain't going to touch
Right.
it. So
that brings into your sonar. Anytime you downline lets you fish the depth that you prefer.
Yeah.
Okay. Like where if you free line, that bait is swimming wherever he prefers. But with a downline, if we have a leader, and I know Jeremy does it the same way I do because this is the way you do it. We all use line counter reels now for our downline.
Yeah.
Shimano's. Don't buy nothing but Shimano's.
Okay.
Thank
There
you,
you go.
Shimano.
Right.
There's a little plug.
Jeremy,
Absolutely.
Would
yeah,
they,
we need a couple reels.
Yeah, would they not last?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
these fish are so strong, and I know there's other names out there, and I'm not bad talking to anybody, but
But you just had success with those.
the Shimano by far is
Right.
the best.
Somebody
rod.
mentioned about speed, and that's very critical when you're
Yep.
pulling a spread of bait.
Oh yeah.
There's been times that you speed up and instantly you make something happen. There's been times where maybe I'm marking fish, but they're not biting, and I slow down and something happens. You'll pick up on stuff like that. Or if I'm just going a steady speed, say 0.8, and that seems to be working, I'm looking at my trolling motor mode. I go back. A lot of little things like that I pick up on.
And most of the time, it's anywhere from 0.7 to a mile an hour.
Yeah.
But I have seen times, y'all, especially with the bigger gizzards, in certain times of year where I've run 1.1, 1.2 to get them baits moving.
Yeah.
But like I was telling Jeremy the other day, we all been struggling this cold weather, the bite's been off. And I told Jeremy, I said, you ain't going to believe it. But I slowed way down. I mean, I was like 0.4, running up 0.8, dropped back down to 0.4, and it paid off for me.
Yeah.
So
Another
you just
thing,
got to fish. You got to try stuff.
Yeah.
You
Another
can't be just locked in on one thing.
yeah.
Right.
And another thing about pulling baits is this: a lot of it is it can be a directional.
Yeah. They won't
because-
hit but one way sometimes.
Yeah,
Now, what do you mean by that?
I've seen
Directional.
I've seen it where you pull across fish and that you see them, but they don't bite. You turn around, and go back the other way, and they'll hit.
Okay.
You pick up on that, and you keep doing that, and sometimes you'll pick up on.
I think it's the way them fish are looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if you're pulling it, in front of their nose, I think they're more likely to hit. Where if you're not pulling it that way, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Coming from
and
behind them.
The finish the thing on the downline, them fish all during throughout the year, the fish are going to be different depths. Okay. Downline will work just about all the time. Not as good sometimes as other, but you can most time always catch a fish on a downline.
Okay.
And it just lets you control your bait.
Jeremiah had another good question. Do you guys clip the fins on your live bait for the injured swimming action, like the saltwater guys? So something like that, or you just want to go El Natural?
No, I'm all natural. Now I have heard of people
Skipjack. If you fish skipjack, sometimes they'll pass the boat.
Yeah, I've heard of people. I've heard of people trimming
the dorsal fin of big trout.
Trimming their tails, slowing them down. But I don't. I mean, we do a lot of shad fishing during the big bait season, and you don't really need to slow them down. I mean, they're not. That's what I was saying earlier. A gizzard just is not something that's just gonna. It ain't like a trout that's gonna do a somersault out of the water, try to get away from a fish. So, but no, we don't trim. We don't trim no bait.
All right, let's we had this conversation. We started this conversation upstairs before the show, and let's hit on it because I can tell it's something definitely. Well, you said you want to talk about it, but I could tell there was a reason, and that is catch and release.
100%.
Catch and release, and the importance of it, and why. And I'm going to let you
Lay it all out.
Lay it all out right there.
Well, Jerry and I both, we've been, this is what we enjoy. This is our passion. Okay. And you can't deplete your resources. Most people don't know this about the striper, but they cannot raise in our freshwater lakes. I believe there's like one or two lakes in the country, one of them being in Texas, and I think there may be one in Alabama where they actually are reproducing. The eggs from a female striper after they're fertilized have to roll a certain
50 miles.
Okay. And because of the rocks and stuff like that, and
really,
That's
So
why they
these
don't
fish
reproduce.
can't reproduce. So the only thing we have, if we catch every fish we catch and take home and eat, eventually you're just going to deplete what's there, and there won't be none. And these fish don't get up to 25 and 30 pounds overnight. I used to know how long it took to get a 30-pound striper, but you'll be surprised how old that fish is. I mean, it's like a teenager.
So even with how much they're eating, they're slow growing fish.
Not really slow going, but it just, it's just like anything else. With a mature buck, everybody wants to go now. Mature buck is 4.5 to 5 to 6 years old, and if you shoot all your 2.5 or 3-year-olds, you're not going to get that 4.5. And I don't know why this is, and Jeremy and I have talked about it. We can catch 30-pound fish, okay, out of Carter's. Very seldom do you see a fish over that 30. And everybody
but Carter's
thinks
has a lot of 15, 20-pound fish.
And everybody, you got to take in perspective. A big largemouth is what, 10 pounds? I mean, that's
I would say that is, what people start considering.
All right. And so
trophy.
when the average person comes up there and catches a fish at 20 pounds, they think it's a monster.
Right.
But that is an average fish on our lake. It used to be average about everywhere you
and
went.
There's nowhere else in North Georgia that you can say that about. Most places.
Your grandchildren and other people. And if you want to catch them over and over again, I mean, everybody kids me. I like to fish certain areas, and they say, well, that's Mickey's fish over there. He's got that thing 10 times. Well, that's because I put that fish back 9 times.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they just can't. Only thing we're allowed, and Jeremy can tell you, he's got the numbers, how many they've been stocking throughout the years. And you think about all the amount of people fishing. If everybody kept one fish every time they went, there wouldn't be none left within a year. You think about it.
So have y'all kind of noticed it's a big problem with people keeping the stripers? I mean, have y'all witnessed it and seen it happen?
Sometimes. I mean, I've seen folks, you're allowed, 2 over 20 inches?
2 over 22 inches. Yeah. That's the legal limit.
So how much was a 22-inch fish weigh, probably?
I'm guessing 12, 15 pounds.
Okay. So a young
Maybe,
fish.
No, it probably ain't that big. It's probably 8 to 10 pounds.
So a young fish.
If you don't turn 15 pounders back, you're not going to have 20 pounders.
Exactly.
If you don't put 25 pounders back, you're not going to have 30 pounders. We just don't have the stocking program that maybe some other lakes do. Lanier gets like 600,000 stripers a year. So we get anywhere from, it's went back and forth over the last 15 years, anywhere from like 16,000 to 32,000, I think is what it is. I mean, that's
a big difference.
Well, and you got to look at this. They're saying, a lot of people say that the mortality of what they stock is only like 30-40%.
So there's only when they're that big, they're getting eaten though.
Yeah, and that's another
anything in the lake can eat them.
That's another problem I got.
Crappie is one of the most predator fish there is. They tell you in your farm ponds, don't even put crappie in your farm ponds because they'll eat all your hatch from your bass and stuff like that.
Hopefully somebody with the DNR is watching tonight. Maybe.
If not, we'll get somebody with the DNR on.
My suggestion would be to them when they stock. I think it would help the stocking. Not only it'd be nice to get more fish, but if they would take these fries like you're talking about somewhere else besides the boat ramp to put them in, because
so they're dumping right at the
they're dumping at boat ramp. I can tell you,
just like this man was asking about the Clark Hill.
Half of them's getting eaten because I can tell you there's Doll Mountain is a lot of times there's spotted bass everywhere. Underneath the dock at Doll Mountain, there'll be spotted bass from people turning them back after these tournaments.
That's very similar to what Fluke Master was talking about
the Clark Hill,
and then following the boats. So now, they know that's where the bait's
they've tried different.
I've been there. I've been there when they've stocked walleye. Been there when they've stocked stripers, and you're scrambling trying to tie up top water plug because there's fish blowing up everywhere.
Really,
I know these things are getting eats.
Now, inches long,
right?
And we started. Did we not?
Just making a few inch difference.
Well, that's more than a few inches.
Well, but you said 6 to 8 inches long compared to an inch fry or something like that. So that's maybe letting them grow in a tank a year.
How long they had to grow.
Well, they can't do that with stripers. From what I've the research that I've done, that's hybrids. Okay. Hybrids can live longer at the hatchery than a striper can. From the research,
well, the hybrids can. They don't have to have the cool water and stuff.
I mean, the moving water.
Yeah, I've seen hybrids in the summertime being 15 foot of water. Very rare,
they
but
can handle
will.
heat and stress better than
Do
stripers.
you know how many what the fry rate is at Notley? What they put in up there
Oh,
for like the stripers? How many they put in that a year?
I'm not
it
sure.
should be documented.
It's
they
more.
can probably
It's
go.
more than Carter's.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
You
Now-
probably go
Carter's
into the
stuff.
DNR and then put in Lake Notley, and then you'll probably be able to find out exactly how many they've been putting over the years.
I'll say this: the Carter's Lakes gets more walleye than it does
Anything.
stripers and hybrids, and it's crazy that we don't. I mean, we catch them, but we don't catch as
We
many
can't do
walleye
it
as we do other
consistently.
fish.
Right.
If Jeremy and I could catch walleye consistently, we would be rich men.
And I'm
Yes.
all for the walleye.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm all for walleye, but if I feel like the striper fishing is really what that's just what we do. That's what we like to do, and I just feel like if we had more stripers in the lake altogether, or if we could figure out a way of getting our mortality rate up,
Mhm.
it would cut back on some of the bait.
So what would you suggest when they come in to stock these? Would you send them up into the back of the creeks or run them into different creek arms instead of just putting them in right at the ramp?
Well, if springtime, and they normally stock in the
Mhm.
spring, all the bait that's in the lake is in fish are usually up in creeks. So that's where that's where I would stop.
They're
That's where I
shallower
would stop.
in the
Yeah.
spring,
Yeah.
and you gotta remember all like the herring and the threadfin, they're all spawning too.
Mhm.
So you already got that fry up versus the fish are shallower then, and then they're eating.
It's just certain places like Doll Mountain and maybe even Wood Ring, you've got a couple really good points right there to fish. And there's
Right.
usually always fish on those points. And they're sitting there on that point for a reason, waiting on something to come over it where they
Right,
get it.
right.
So when they open that hose up and all this fry goes there where they just go crazy.
Mm.
And there may not be nothing they can do. I don't know how they'd have to get them things on a boat somehow and get them
I
out
was getting
there.
ready to
but-
ask you if you had a suggestion.
No, I don't
Well,
know.
I
I don't
mean,
have all the answers. I just
Jeremy and
got
Robert and the other ones around there would be more than happy to pull our boats with our bait tanks down there to the dock, and then they could put them in our bait tank, dump them into the lake.
I mean,
Man,
look
that'd be-
how some of them bass guys stock. I mean, they take them out in the bags and dump them in the reeds and up in timber and
Well,
stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
I don't have an answer. I mean,
Yeah, Mike Steele and Port. They both one's by helicopter and the other one's just like what you said. Let the fishermen and the guides spread them.
yeah.
That'd be interesting because I've seen on some of them western lakes where they stock them by helicopter and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But they're usually a
I
little
heard
bit bigger.
that they
aren't
done the walleye like that on Carter's.
Really?
One time, I heard that they'd stocked them overhead airplane.
I didn't know what a walleye was, being from the south. And
Yeah.
there used to be gitter shad.
You'll know
in
as
there.
soon as you put your finger
Yeah.
in one's mouth.
That's right.
But I was running in the shallows trying to catch gitter shad to fish, and I caught this fish. I said, "That looks like a pike."
right.
They're
right.
in the
Yeah.
pike family,
Right.
but didn't know what a walleye was. So I went home and pulled it up on my phone, and I caught it, in my net, which I put it back.
They're
'cause I
good to
knew it
eat.
was
I was
a-
gonna say they're
Yeah,
good eating
everybody
Oh,
though.
says they're the best
everybody
thing to eat.
claims they're the best eating fish there is.
They're-
I've caught two.
You never eat one?
I've caught one over 10
Right.
and one right at 10 in Carter.
Have you never eaten walleye?
I don't eat fish.
What? I didn't know that.
You talk about all
Yeah,
this,
go
all
ahead,
this,
go
all
on,
this, all
go
this
on.
crappy fishing you did when you was
You
growing
don't
up.
eat
You didn't
Hey,
eat
I
fish.
grew up, my grandfather and grandmother and my dad and all the family, we had a place on South River. And when I say we had a fish fry, y'all, it was like the old times.
Mhm.
Y'all younger generation did have a big old black kit
No,
pot about this
Big old
big.
kettle.
I-
Big old kettle.
Big old
going.
kettle, black iron kit with fire under it, hot grease in there, and then putting fish in there. And that's the way we grew up. But I don't
he got
I don't
tired of it.
mind fish, but I just don't have a taste for it. But
Yeah.
now there ain't nobody that loves the fish no better than I do.
Nathan.
Justin says, does he eat grits?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
cheese.
With- That's we. I find out they're from up north. That's one of my first questions.
Yeah.
You
I
eat
had
grits.
Then you got me who don't even eat.
I didn't know, Nathan. You don't eat fish.
I
either.
was asked
Huh.
one time, did that grow on a tree?
Right. Exactly. How about a yellow bass? I don't know what in the heck he's talking about because I don't unless
I wonder
it's
if it
Are
makes
you
like a
talking about a
perch.
shoal bass?
Perch.
yeah. So Jeremiah, what you talking about with the yellow bass right there? So I don't really eat fish. Why do all these people not eat fish? But all right, Jeremiah, what's a yellow bass? While you're on there, if you don't mind now. But you've never eaten a walleye though?
I've tried it. you know, I've got
just didn't. I mean, just
I
still
pastor
fishing.
a church, and all them boys in DeLonga, they're big walleye.
What church
fishing.
you pastor?
I actually pastor too.
Oh, he's a busy man.
Good night. So what you got? One of those that meet on second and fourth Sunday, and the first.
Nemberville Baptist Church in
I know
DeLonga,
that.
Georgia
Yep.
meets on second and fourth, and Pleasant Hill Baptist Church in DeLonga, Georgia meets on first and third. Jimmy's also a pastor. That's the reason me and him.
Are you really?
Yeah, we'll get y'all to come in. We'll get some
where you
revivals
passing?
announced.
Town Creek Baptist Church,
All right.
and Jasper, and then Mount Oliver Baptist Church.
Oh,
in
so
I'll
Ross.
be
he's a
doggone.
two for
There you
two.
go.
Yeah.
You've been saying all these dirty words. All
Jeremy,
night.
let me tell you
No,
how
it's
me and
sorry.
Jeremy got to be friends.
How's that?
Church, probably revival.
No, we didn't even know it. But I had been fishing, and my boat, when we got ready to leave, and I had some good friends of mine with me, and
Okay.
I was sitting there thinking, boy, I don't want to call him. Because me and Jeremy's always been competitors at this point.
Right.
And but I didn't know how I was going to get back. And being the good person that he is, he come over there and told me back. And we were standing at the dock talking fishing. Now, you got to remember, when two guides, they just don't share a lot of information
Right.
right off the bat. So Jeremy said, I just felt like telling you I was a preacher too. And then I couldn't hate him.
There you go.
But I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's been a good friend.
We've got a lot of things in common.
There you go.
That has improved our relationship.
The biggest thing,
The Lord does that, don't he?
yeah,
he does.
the biggest thing is the passion. Y'all,
Right.
I can't tell you. I mean, I love church, and that's most important thing in my life and my family. But when I'm not at church, the one thing I'm thinking about is fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've loved it ever since I can remember. If I don't have a trip, I'm going to be fishing. That's what I do.
There you go.
Anytime you got a passion for something, don't be discouraged, because I'm still learning. I'm 52 years old, been fishing all my life, and I'm still learning a lot of new tricks. So you just gotta go and go and go, and eventually, they say a blind squirrel will find a nut every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
But then once you figure out how that squirrel found that nut, it gets easier.
That's exactly right. That's awesome, though. Couple preachers on here. I love it. That's how Josh and I met each other.
Okay.
We go to church together like that. That's how actually Fish North Georgia was actually born. I was in church one day, and I said, hey, let's fish some electric.
Well, the Bible says he'll make us fishermen of men.
That's what he says.
I like to do both.
I think I do better at that than I do
Most of the disciples was what? Fishermen.
There you go. There you go. I wish you would tell me which side of the boat to throw on, though. Every once in a while, I need it. So, all right. Well, we got a break right here before we wrap the show up here with our last little segment. I want to talk about another sponsor. It's been a long day again that we've gotten. That's Mad Shark Charters, Georgia's premier coastal experience out of Brunswick, Georgia. So Captain Adam and Dave will take you out to pursue all types of saltwater adventures in a comfortable setting. Give them a call at 912-580-1234. Discuss your options and book a trip today. And don't forget to tell them that the guys at Fish North Georgia sent you there. So again, if you're looking to do inshore fishing, offshore fishing, you name it, they do everything. I mentioned tarpon to you last week, and your guys got.
I love that.
Your
man
eyes
right
got
over there
big.
man, I'm obsessed with
tarpon and all that. But they
this
do everything.
year I'm going to land one.
Okay, so that's your goal.
That's my number one goal for this year. Is to land my
Here's
first tarpon.
Is land your first tarpon. You've hooked one, but you ain't got one in yet.
Oh, I hooked 3 last year, 3 or 4 on my first Sarasota.
Yep. You need to go to Big Pine.
Oh, here we go.
You hear that, bro?
Big Pine.
Yeah.
Let's answer Ron's question right there.
Which one is that?
Ron said you can't go out on the lake first thing in the morning, watch the sunrise, see the wildlife, and not believe in God. We all got, everything that we do is a privilege.
Yeah.
And it's a to have your family. And, some of my fondest memories, this is what fishing does. Be able to create memories that will last a lifetime. Mm-hmm. My dad taught me to fish. My boys still love to fish with me. And I hope and pray that when we're out on the lake that we all remember that we're all teaching. People's watching us where anybody else is watching or not. And I want to be a good steward toward fishing and people.
Mm-hmm.
You can do both. you know.
And I tell you, not only do I enjoy what I do, but I've met a lot of good people.
Yeah.
I've made a lot of friends and have, even have relationships with them now.
People
Just
had
like y'all.
never can be a big fish, okay? And then you put them, help them achieve one of their goals in their life, and you can see their eyes with a greater blessing. I mean, the paycheck, you got to have the paycheck, don't get me wrong. But
There's
man,
more to it than just that. Though.
There's more to the check.
excitement
Passion.
of I had if y'all ain't got what's that not Facebook but the other one,
Instagram.
if you'll go Instagram, look.
He
For
said
this
his
We
young
can
name.
tell he's a
man,
little
th-
older.
this
We can tell he's a little older.
this made my day. I had a trip. Jeremy couldn't do it, and I done it. And we had a little 11-year-old boy. Y'all follow him on Instagram, fish like Tarzan.
Mhm.
But this young man got more passion than most folks at 11-year-old. Loves to fish, and I just got a blessing by watching him, the excitement, and knowing that excitement was going to go to the next generation.
Right.
You know,
I wish my son had a little more.
And see,
of it.
that's the thing. I think that's one thing that us fishermen love is getting out teaching. Because I
well,
mean, it don't matter. You can take somebody who's old, young. Somebody's gonna get excited. It's always brought me joy.
I
love it.
didn't think, first I'm
Michael
competitive.
Temple's, his comment. My wife doesn't understand how I can go out and fish for hours and not catch anything, not catch nothing. That's because of the
passion.
Well,
the
there's so
passion,
much
there's a
more than
spiritual side
fishing.
of it. Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
My wife's the same way,
It
Michael.
takes a special person.
Mhm.
this
They go
life,
day in,
this
day
life
out.
is
Yeah,
hard enough,
absolutely.
and people need ways to relax.
Get
And
away from
you know,
Lord, don't
yeah.
they?
my fishing is the way I can relax. I don't have nobody out there trying to tell me what to do. Well, Jeremy,
He don't relax much. He's
No,
pretty-
I
Seeing
You know
him
what
on
I'm
the
saying?
boat
know
just tense
exactly
up.
what you're
Just
saying.
tense
man,
up.
there's nothing like seeing that fish on that depth finder, watching that thing come up and hit a bait, and then seeing like a young kid that hardly ever has caught a fish get a hold of that pole and watch them smile.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
I mean, there's nothing like it. That's the joy.
Yeah, it is. And it's just good stuff. It's hard to get people. You fish, that's boring. Well, you don't
There's
understand.
something else to it.
You don't
that we do.
understand.
Well, I can go all day and not catch fish.
I do it all the time.
Get a little
But,
irritated, but we still like being
but
out
now
there.
it's
good at
a
that.
sure, and y'all, we love to all catch big fish. I mean, they don't make them big enough for me.
Mhm.
I've been blessed in my life to catch some good fish, and but I still want one that it's just like, and a lot of my friends would say, why do you keep doing it? You've done this, you've done that. Well, it's still the joy, and there's that chance, just like killing a big buck. You want a Boone and Crockett, just like our 40-pounders.
Right.
Well, I may never catch it in my lifetime, but I'm going to die trying.
Oh,
you know what I'm
absolutely.
saying?
I'd like to have both, the big buck and the 40-pounder.
Yeah, me and you both.
You hunt too?
I don't have time much. No, I don't
Are
do
you,
much.
Are
hunting.
you full time guy? That's
yeah,
all you do? Okay.
I've been full time for about 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I hadn't.
And
Nobody works harder than Jeremy.
And you said-
I'll say that right now.
Okay.
Uh,
That's not a bad trait to have.
to be as young and this as he has,
How old
I
are
mean,
you?
he's paid
30.
his dues.
30. Oh,
I'm
you
30.
are a baby.
Yeah.
You and Blake
I'm
both.
25.
Y'all are young. Can you remember 30?
Oh yeah.
Fondly though, right?
Well,
Well, some parts of my life I remember
my
well
wife
at
will
30.
tell you I can't remember yesterday, but
I know. There's some things at 30
I
I'd like to
really don't
forget.
know where I was at 30, but I was fishing somewhere.
You was fishing somewhere.
Hey, Mickey, tell us the story of the 36 that you threw back in quarters.
Well, I was fishing tournaments, and we
striper tournaments, right?
yeah.
How does that work? For strippers?
NSBA is what
Y'all
we
go
was
off
fishing.
the length, weight. How y'all do that?
Well,
striper?
back then they done weight, and you was allowed 2 fish, but
Okay.
they've changed everything up since then for the good, because if there would be 25 to 50 boats, maybe more, and then you was allowed 2 fish, and then you'd go back to the weigh-in, weigh everything in. Well, these stripers won't live. We
there's
killed a lot
no
of fish.
saving those fish, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but now they come away. I will now.
Huh.
Most 3 fish over 30, and then
Yeah.
I caught my 38, and I just had made a goal to myself that I wouldn't keep another fish till it was over 40, and I put it back, thinking, within a year or two, I've caught all them fish, and
It could be.
I'm not. I mean, I got witnesses. This is the truth, and
You got pictures?
But you know, if you
Yeah.
catch them fish and ain't nobody
Pictures
there,
proving it.
there's no reason to
didn't have
think
a-
that
Mickey,
you're not
where's the
going to catch
picture?
a big 10 frame.
Oh, he's got the
Oh,
picture.
does he have
Can
a picture?
We need a
Okay.
copy.
Y'all can get in touch with
You
Wesley
ain't got a
Trammell.
picture, you
Wesley
didn't catch
Trammell's
it.
was
Yeah.
with me.
No
And,
picture.
Okay.
It
But
didn't
no,
happen.
this is the way it works, y'all. We just had an unbelievable day. And, you know, biggest fish I probably ever landed in my lifetime. I'm hoping for a 40.
Right.
But if I don't, I'll be happy. But I put it back because I'd set a goal in my life to put a 40-pounder in the boat. And I wasn't going to mount one until I was 40.
Gotcha.
And you know, I've got one fish on the wall that I mounted because my dad's on dialysis and not doing too well, and my son was fixing to go in the military, and we caught a 30-pounder, and I kept that fish as a memory of both of them.
I got you.
So
Nothing wrong with that.
nope.
Somebody asked the question about have we been around in Tennessee and North Carolina? We have been.
I fished
out.
both lakes,
Yeah.
all the lakes in North Carolina when we was fishing the tournaments, and we go to Tennessee pretty regular when we can. You know, if we're guiding, we can't go up. We probably would like to, but
Can you guide in those states?
yeah.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
do guide in those
There's
states.
No,
guys up
we
there.
don't.
We
No.
don't.
It's just too far for us to
Okay,
go.
okay.
But there is guys there.
So is
Right.
is the fishing pretty good up in North Carolina and stuff like that? Like,
Every
like I
every
said-
lake is different.
Yeah.
You know, Tennessee has the gill maggots like Lanier,
Tennessee's
but
like
they've
one
got
big river system.
they've got a lot better water quality than what we have. So the fish seem to be growing better.
handling
you know,
the gill maggots.
Yeah,
better and everything.
there's. I mean, people catch monsters in Tennessee, and everybody knows that. It's probably not what it used to be.
Mhm.
Just like everywhere else, a lot
Right.
of people
Well,
found out about it. And
right.
it's
when
not-
you get
right.
folks that love what they do, you know, they're like everything else. If a state's got big bucks, everybody wants to go hunting big bucks.
Right.
You know, same thing with the stripers. And since Lanier, you know, y'all, the late record on Lanier is, what is it, 47 something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost 50 pounds. I think the South Carolina record's 63, or it was at one time.
the high, North Carolina. I'm not sure about South Carolina, but
South Carolina's 63.
the
I'm
North
pretty sure.
Carolina state record striper come out of Hiawassee Lake is 66 and something.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
you know, there's
Big fish.
fish
Caught
out
on
there.
I think I'm pretty sure it was caught by a bass fisherman. 10-pound test is what.
Well, I think the last
Can you
Lanier,
imagine nailing
Yeah.
into that?
I wouldn't
Spinner
want
bait,
to.
you just also boom.
I
Yeah.
think the
Here we
last
go.
Lanier striper record was on a worm or something like that. Come
Oh,
from a
really?
bass fisherman too.
There you go.
Somebody said Hiawassee ? That's in Murphy, North
Yeah.
Carolina.
Murphy.
Smallmouth.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where people start catching stripers. They know where they come from because they'd never stocked it.
Right.
They figured out they was coming in the Notley River, and then in 2012 they started stocking it. Those lakes for us are a pretty good drive, so that's kind of a getaway for us just
For
to go
y'all,
do some
right.
fun fishing. You know,
How-
I don't know as much about those lakes as I do.
Hawassee's a
around here.
gorgeous lake. It's fun to fish.
Yeah.
I've been up there 2 or 3
Okay.
times.
Yeah.
So.
Cumberland is a great lake. I seen that question there. Yeah, Cumberland's got monster fish in it. You know, that's like the Tennessee River, like that. You know, there's a few places where these fish just get big and they've done real well.
Yeah,
But
Watts
the-
Bar. Somebody said something about Watts Bar.
Watts
It's
Bar.
a good lake.
Yeah.
So what does it take to get one of these trophy stripers? I mean, is it the water quality, the food? I mean,
It's
what
a combination of everything. A little bit of luck. You know, that fish.
A lot of
A
love.
lot of luck.
Well, no, what I'm saying for the fish to survive, you know, good bait,
Mhm.
good water quality, and somebody didn't keep him.
Okay.
You
But
understand what I'm saying?
The question you're asking is, what's the best
You
way to
look at-
target?
You look at Chickamauga. I mean, they put them Florida strands. They've got the bait. Monster stripers get around. Like, is there lakes like this? They just got giant bass where you can go just all day catch giant stripers because the quality of the lake or the
Are
quality
you
of the bait
saying? Are
is so
you
good?
saying what are the ingredients?
What are
in
the
lake
ingredients to
make
grow giants
a giant striper?
and make it a good
baits
lake?
and good water.
Okay.
Good water quality. Yeah,
Okay.
good water quality. 'Cause
These fish are ocean fish.
Yeah.
Okay. They're used to having current. They're used to being able to swim wherever they want to go. You know, the bait, they can swim to where the bait is. And if you put them in a landlocked position where they can't get enough bait, then they're not going to get big.
So basically, a perfect lake would be a long river system and with a
The
ton of
river
bait.
lakes seem to produce Cumberland, Notley. You know, I think the lake record Notley's 40 something, way up in
52.
the 50 something pounds. Hiawassee's huge. You know, these river lakes, and to me, it would be the water quality.
Mhm.
They like the stripers.
They got to have oxygen.
They like
These big fish require a lot of oxygen.
Okay.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No. You go ahead. Don't let me cut you off.
I don't know what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Me neither. When was the last time you caught one over 30 pounds?
Carters.
I had somebody on my boat catch a 30-pounder.
You caught one at Notley.
Next to the last day of December. December, 29th or 30th. Yeah, this past year. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to target the big ones this time of year because it goes back to you're usually using small baits or regular size. There's no way to really target a big fish. You might catch a big 20, 30-pound striper. You might catch a 2-pound spot.
Right.
But the only way I know to target monster stripers is to pull big baits during the time of year when you can get the big baits and they're hitting the big baits. When they're looking for that one big profile bait, that's when you need to be pulling the biggest bait.
That's my favorite time of the year. But now that's not to say that, because there's probably more big fish caught summer months than there is in the winter and the spring. And I think it's because a lot more people's out on the water and a lot more people is fishing.
Just sheer numbers.
Sheer numbers. And,
right.
And I mean, Jeremy and I, we've caught some healthy fish this year. I hadn't caught it. I said it was last year, but it was actually year before last that I caught a 30-pounder. But that's anywhere from 18 to 25 pounds.
Our average fish on Carter's Lake, average striper, is probably 15 to 20 pounds, and that's not really. That's most places. That's not your average size. Right. Usually a 6 to 8 or an 8 to 12 pound.
That's what it is on Lanier.
That's your average
30-inch fish on Lanier. If you catch 230s, you're pretty good.
Yeah. Getting back to Carter's being a trophy lake. That's why we're so persistent about turning the fish back.
Right.
Because it's a smaller lake. I understand that, but it's lower stocking numbers. So, and with what we do, there's times a year we're fishing every day.
Yeah.
So if I let you keep a fish or a couple fish, then I gotta let everybody.
Yep.
And then he's gotta let everybody. And then it turns into a problem. And if everybody else, didn't look at it that way, it would just continue to be more and more.
You gotta remember now, these fish are big, and most people
they want to take them.
I mean, if I had
just take a picture,
10-year-old kid, catch a 30-something pound striper, there's ways of going by. You can take photos, you can get measurements, and then get the thing. I mean, it's a little pricey, but it's pricey to mount a fish.
The replica, the fiberglass replica of it. Yeah, absolutely. And those don't deteriorate.
No.
Not like back in the day when we just mounted fish.
But if you catch one and you want your kids to catch one, you got to release them.
You got to release them, turn them back. Can we this is kind of a touchy subject. People keep talking that there's still big numbers and big stripers on Lanier.
There's
that because there's people all the time. You still go over
in the state of Georgia. Would you not say?
Oh yeah.
And they fish Lanier, Lionel, Steven,
Dale Sheets,
Jeff Blair. I mean, these boys are out on the water all the time.
If it was like it used to be, these guys would be pulling in 30, 40-pound fish more often because they're out there fishing every day.
Every day.
There's always going to be some big fish there, but the gill maggots have definitely set Lanier back.
There's occasional fish.
The pressure's not good either.
Right.
It used to, if you caught a 30-pounder, whoopie-doo. It's 30-pounder. Now if you want to catch a 30-pounder on Lanier, you'd be about for a month.
You're somebody.
You're doing something.
Well, it just happens, and I still think there's some fish in there, but I got a friend of mine that is an avid gizzard shad fisherman, Troy Caldwell, and he's helped me out a bunch. But he used to take weeks at a time and pull gizzard shad around good spots to catch a big fish. And when you can go all week when pulling 10 or 12-inch baits and you get 1 or 2 blow-ups, that's
right.
That's not right. Exactly. I mean, you ought to
have
that.
It's not what it was 15.
You ought to have that in a couple hours. Why? Used to you went to Sherry's and Hammonds and everything, and there'd be these dollar bill size shad, and there'd be bluebacks and minnows and stuff like that.
You used to go in there and see dinner plate size gizzards.
Well, that's because nobody was buying them. Nobody could get any bites on them. And I'm not saying you still can't go do it. There's certain times of year that you're going to have a good chance in certain spots to do that. But your chances are, you might have to pull for a week before you get a bite. You know,
Like I said, I keep having people say the same thing. You still go catch the big ones over there. No, you're going to catch a lot of small ones if you're even catching small ones.
well, they got a lot of numbers now, and and that may be one thing that's attributed. They're putting a lot of fish in there. Once these big fish get so big, they get lazy, I think.
Yeah.
And I had an older gentleman tell me this when I was getting started.
Absolutely.
You got a bunch of bait right there, and you got all these juveniles running up there and thrashing.
Definitely going to have you guys back. Like
We've just barely touched
the surface. Yeah, like that. But for tonight and for the next couple of months, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to book a trip, what is the best way for them guys to do it?
Well, my phone number is 770-265-9677, and our website, www.backwoodsfishingguide.com.
Okay.
That's our website. So all the information that you need to know is on the website.
Right.
But you can call me. I don't mind talking. I love to talk fishing. So that's pretty much how you can get over.
You got your Instagram.
We got Instagram. Like we got Facebook.
Hey guys, and check out their Instagram. They're always posting some big fish.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a little bit like Mickey when it comes to old school stuff. A lot of this social media stuff is new to me, but in this day and age, you got to do it
for business.
You got to do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
y'all ain't gonna throw me under the bus.
Well, we'll
Jeremy said we're gonna do a podcast, and I said, "What's that?"
Yeah, he didn't know what it.
Well, I told you, and for any of you guys out there watching, last or 2 years ago, I didn't know what one was either.
Yeah.
And we had one out that
this is good
really
though. If more fishermen, hopefully the right people will see this and think about the conservative part of it, and we would be more than happy as part of Backwoods to help anybody, but we'd like to see this what we do go on and get bigger, and the only way it's going to be done is the stocking program, because these fish can't reproduce.
Okay.
Anybody out there can put us in contact with the right folks that we might help our cause. The thing about cards, and we never talked about this, okay, the reason that we're asking for more fish is because of the bait. I and Jeremy started off at the very beginning, and I'm trying to wrap it up, but I want to get this out there.
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
There is so much bait at times, and we're fishing 4 to 6 rods, 6 rods probably during the planning board things, and 4 rods downlining, and we're asking these fish that we're catching to hit our 4 baits when there's millions on the depth finder.
Right.
And the other day, I was telling you about when you see for 150 foot bait, 25 and 30 foot deep, that's a lot of bait.
I've had people ask me, what's the difference in our bait and all the bait down there? I said, well, the only difference is when the fish come through, all that bait down there scatters. And ours is left sitting there.
Right. Yeah.
We got a 6-7 foot leader.
Maybe somebody can help us. Maybe we can get more fish stopped so everybody else can catch more fish. Whatever the answer might be, we'd be willing to help. So just wanted to put that out.
We want everybody to catch fish. We just want to catch a few more.
Hey, absolutely. There you go.
Hey, everybody wants a little more.
Yeah. I was going to end it, but we got 2 quick questions if we can get them in. First of all, what's the top 5 artificial lures for stripers?
Oh man,
spoon,
big old flutter spoon.
Chicken spoon.
Wintertime, it's hard to beat a small spoon.
Spoon in the wintertime.
In the wintertime.
I like the big spoon in the summer.
Big 10-inch Ben Parker spoon. You can't beat it.
Of course, the bucktail jig is by far probably caught more stripers than anything else.
Look, guys, when these things are eating, it don't matter.
Yeah,
when they're eating.
Rapalas, the red fins, like we talked earlier, the bomber longays during certain times of the year. But that would be the 5. The spoon, bucktail.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's an interesting question. We talked about coming down the road. Do alewives die off? And I'll say no. Other than they die from old age, but they don't. They can handle cold water. Shad dies when the water gets below 42 degrees.
Well, these fish are down there at 40 foot, and I can't answer that question because I don't know. But I say they could, but they're not like the thread fin, which is going to be in a 25 to 40 foot range. that water temperature gets down there to, the 40, what is it, Jeremy, 43, 44?
42, I think.
42 degree, whether you have a die-off. So I can't answer that question because I really don't know, but I don't think they do when they can go 80 foot deep.
I'll say this. I've seen shad kills, and you have too, where the gizzard shad, threadfin shad, dead everywhere, floating.
Right.
I've never seen LY dead.
There you go.
Other than maybe one or two here or there from a fish hit.
Right. I think that's interesting. Y'all were talking about that on the way over here.
Yeah.
Always talking fish.
Well,
That's
I promise you, if
always
Jeremy and I are
something.
talking to one another, it's fishing.
That's awesome. So one more time before we bring this episode to a close, give them your phone number one more time because I want people to get in touch with you and give you some business.
Yeah, it's 770-265-9677.
9677.
And the website again is www.backwoodsfishingguide.com. And so yeah, we really appreciate you guys having us, and like Mickey said, we have fun talking fishing. So we've had a great
we're gonna
time.
get you back.
We definitely got to because we're so bass heavy, and the reality is, if we're going to be fishing North Georgia, we've got to cover every species. And stuff.
This is the thing.
You guys are opening our eyes to a lot of different things tonight.
We all need to be helping one another because it is the actual sport of fishing.
Mhm.
It is. It is absolutely.
I'm going to tell this.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I used to be,
he got
he
yeah.
I ain't telling Jeremy nothing.
Here.
This was my motto. I'm gonna go out there and catch my fish, and I'm not telling him nothing. I don't want anybody to know where I'm at. Okay, but what me and Jeremy has realized now, and is that the more that me and him can help one another, the better we're both going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know how many. I've been sitting at the dock and waiting on our customers and the bass fishermen. Can you give me any information or something like that? And
I've had it work the other way around too.
Yeah, and they'll be telling us, hey, but we can all work together. It just boils down to have enough respect for one another.
Yeah.
To
absolutely
tolerate one another.
Yeah.
Well,
give everybody room.
Hey,
give everybody
this
space.
is what the Baptists say. Okay.
Oh man.
I don't hate no one. I just dislike their ways.
Is that
the truth? That is the truth.
That is about as Baptist as you can get.
That's the truth.
But I'm just telling you, you don't have to agree with somebody 100%
right
to help them. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. This is why this company exists. Yep. This is why we exist.
Y'all couldn't do this without us, and we couldn't get our name out there without y'all.
Well,
we're thankful.
Well, we're thankful too. So I appreciate both of you coming down and spending some time with us. And yeah, I can already tell we got to have another episode with these guys.
Maybe spring or getting closer to spring.
Well, we would like
let's do one every season.
Let's do one.
Do that.
Spring, summer, fall.
Yeah, let's do one before the summer bite because I think that we can help some fish if we and we've even talked to you about maybe even anybody that would like to meet us down on the lake to show an illustration how to vent these fish.
Shoot a video.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode. We got to do that.
You don't need to worry about venting the fish until about June.
Right.
But, yeah, that's a whole nother
I think
but we need to do that little video.
I think making a video demonstration will be really helpful.
Mickey, we need you to bring that striper you got mounted, and we'll demonstrate with our vent needle.
You got a 30 on the wall too.
Yeah, but
you don't want to mess with yours.
I don't
hole in mine either.
There you go. So anyway, guys, look again. We appreciate both of you coming down.
We thank you,
and definitely we're going to go ahead and make some plans to have you guys back as regulars on the show. I think that's awesome, and we just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
So all you guys that and gals, I'm sure that there's I got to say gals every once in a while. You got to. We appreciate you tuning in tonight. Again, don't forget tomorrow night. 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. We're going to be doing a 4-hour live from Jimbo's Outdoor. Make sure I pronounce this right. The Southern Outdoor Show. What did I forget?
Hello, Mason. Just some.
Mason.
Said, I grew up with him.
Oh, Mason.
Mickey can't fish.
Yeah, he's telling a story. Mason, you better correct that, son. You know I can.
Look right here. See, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Me and Mark went. We're about as tight. We're just
okay.
Actually, Mark and his wife's first date was with me and my wife.
Oh,
is that right?
Oh man,
my wife had a stroke 2 years ago, and we hadn't been to seen them in a while, but they come by the hospital and we really enjoy it. But I love them boys.
Yeah, no, they're good people.
They're
Mason's a
great
good guy.
folks.
Yeah, see,
Ain't
that's
nobody
funny.
no better.
See, and that's part of this whole thing we're trying to build here is community. And we found out it's a small world after we've talked. We went to the same school together and all sorts of things. We done found out y'all's preachers and all that too. So that's a good thing. And
In a minute, I'm still on the podcast.
Is that who's that? Who is that? Listen to that.
That was Wesley, the proof. Y'all care if I play this?
I don't care. Go ahead real quick.
Oh Lord,
What
rabbit
is it?
hole time.
What is it?
I think this is a proof that he
I
caught
lost
that
it.
big
I don't know.
fish.
Oh,
I don't know. See, this is unscripted right there.
Wait a minute now.
Oh no,
Wait a
look,
minute.
Put him on speaker and put it
I'm
up to the
going
microphone.
Wait till I get him on the phone.
Well, while he's getting him on the phone again tomorrow night, 5
Hey.
p.m. to 9 p.m., live from Jimbo's Outdoor Southern
Well,
Outdoor
listen,
Show.
Nobody believes that I caught that fish.
I
And we
believe
never
you.
And
said
you're
that.
my witness. Hey, will you now? Don't aggravate me. Tell them the truth now, okay? Here I am. Hold on. Give me just a second.
Listen,
All right, Wesley, you're on speaker. Go ahead, talk.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Wesley Trammell here.
hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good, good. Hey, I've been a lifelong buddy of Mickey since I can't remember 6th or 7th grade, something like that. So I was the one that posted about the throwing the fish back.
Okay.
We were on Carter's one day and we got into some stripers, luckily, and
Luckily.
we were catching some big fish. I will not admit we probably caught 14 or 15 fish over 20 pounds. And we hooked this monster fish, actually, in front of the boat. And we ended up catching it finally. It was about 35 pounds. And Mickey's got a picture of it somewhere.
Yeah,
that was a late record.
When
Yeah.
we didn't know it. Well, you know
Didn't
what?
know
You
it.
know what the record was? I was from Lanier.
It was probably like
You know,
33 pounds.
20 something pounds.
Oh, my
Me and
God.
Wesley about had a heart. We caught 7 or 8 fish over there.
What? Dang.
All right, Wes. We appreciate you, brother. Love you. I hope Carla's doing good.
Love you too, buddy.
All right. Tell everybody bye.
See y'all. Nice. I love the show, guys. Nice to meet y'all.
Hey, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
man.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I
So,
guess there's some proof.
So
now.
we have confirmation.
We'll have. Hey, I
we
want to see
have
the picture.
confirmation, but we need
I've
to.
got it at home. We
All right.
moved. I hope my wife can tell me where it's
See if
at.
you
Oh,
can
Lord.
find it.
Oh,
I'll tell you
Lord.
how to tell on a big fish, okay? Wait a minute. Let me get back around here. Listen, y'all. The lengths is one thing. Most big fish are going to be over 40-something inches, okay?
Right.
Now, you can catch a 25-pounder and it be 40 inches.
Right.
But the difference is the girth
Mhm.
around the difference.
Right.
When you hold your hand up here and you got your hand on that tail and that belly comes
Hanging
back
down.
and hides the
Yeah.
hand, that's the
when you
big
know it's a
fish.
big
Yeah, and a lot of times, I get people all the time. They're like, "Man, you take some good pictures.
Long arm.
Pictures can be
Long
deceiving
arm, man.
Right. Yeah.
because they're only going to get so long."
Yeah.
Right.
And the width, the thickness of that fish, the girth of that fish, you can't see.
You
from
look
a
at the
side
head
view, so
and you look at the side, and then you know that's a good fish. I don't know how many 15 to 16 pounders that's been called 25 pounders
Right.
because they're just not used to seeing a 25 pounder.
Right.
A 25 pound fish is 40 something inches long.
Okay.
I caught a 30. It was not last year before last in Carter's, and it was 43 and a half inches long.
you can find there's a chart online where it tells by the length of the fish
About how much?
about how much it'll weigh without even having scales. And I have compared to that chart. It's usually pretty close.
Okay.
So.
All right. You, anything else?
Well, you done hushed me up now. I told you if we, you
I
know
ain't
what,
hushing
y'all.
up. I'm just asking you. You got
He
your
was
home?
worrying that if a bunch of Baptist preachers would be scared of talking.
Hey, he mistakes that.
Listen,
He mistake that.
but
Look,
I ain't
I'll
never,
tell you what.
I've never met a quiet
I
Baptist.
bet if you got him and my father in a room
They're either
together,
talking or eating.
that's
Just
2 hour
eating. We need-
conversation
Yeah.
We can
nonstop.
eat.
Yeah.
No, that's one thing
Absolutely.
about Baptist. We'll eat all
I
day.
tell
We'll
you,
eat.
no kidding though. You know, y'all, we enjoy what we're doing.
I can tell.
If you ain't never been out with us, come and go out with us. You'll, we try to laugh. We had a trip back right at the end of the fall, and I had some folks on my boat.
I
and,
could hear them laughing like 2 creeks over.
but we just had the best time. We caught maybe 3 fish that morning, kind of slow and everything, but you build friends for a lifetime.
Yep.
And just remember,
I'm gonna say one more thing real quick.
You can.
I want to give kind of give a shout out to Mickey and these other two guys been helping. Not only is Mickey one of the best striper fishermen that I've ever met, but he's got a great personality. He knows how to keep people entertained.
Yeah, he does.
He knows how to to make people laugh, and that's part of what we do.
Right.
And Lynn Slay and Russ Dees, they've both been great too. Russ is kind of new to it, but hey, we were all new at one point, so
Right.
we're kind of easing him into it. But we're looking for big things, with our business and everything.
To
And
expand.
now that I've got Mickey and Russ and Lynn to help me out, the first couple of years I was full time, I was turning down trips left and right because I could only do but so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I need somebody to do these trips for me, somebody I can work with, so it benefits all of us. So I just want to thank those guys for what they do for me.
There you go. That's a
and
good
it cuts
thing.
out me being an old man. I don't have the headache anymore.
That's right. That's right. I understand that completely.
You just get to do the fun part.
You get the fun part. Yeah.
What time am I supposed to be there? And how many people have I got?
That's all. And listen, and at our age, that's a good thing, So I totally understand it.
Can I say one more
You
thing?
can, yes, sir.
One
you
more
Baptist.
thing, Mickey.
This is like that altar call that never ends sometimes.
Hey,
on
there
this.
ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
There ain't nothing wrong with that.
On
But
this,
we
y'all,
Baptists like these.
Let's sing a couple more songs.
That's right. Here we go.
on this, y'all. I wanted to say God bless everybody.
Absolutely.
And I know our country's in bad shape and everybody's apart. But the one thing we have in common, we got a God that loves us.
Mhm.
And He's the only way right now. I wouldn't be nothing without Him. And I'm not preaching, but I know that there's still miracles done today. I've seen it in my life and other people's lives. But if you don't know God, try Him. I promise you'll never go wrong.
Nothing wrong with that, buddy. Nothing
Amen.
wrong with that. There you go. Absolutely. All right. Now, what you're saying at the end of every show.
All right, guys. Everybody go along. Like, subscribe, share the podcast, listen to iTunes and Spotify. Check these guys out also. Their Instagram, their Facebook. Great group of guys. Hey, this was a great episode.
It was a
I've
very
enjoyed
good
it.
episode.
We're going to have them back. Everybody like, subscribe. Get these guys out. Like I said, I think they're two of the best out there on
He
carcasses,
did
what
say
they're
that.
doing.
He did say that when we
Yep.
were talking
I've
about.
been following these
saying
guys
that.
for a while.
Absolutely.
So
you got to get these guys on. That's what he said. And we definitely got to get
y'all
you guys
got to go
back.
out. If y'all want to go catch some big stripers, get out with these guys, and they'll put you on them. So,
All right. And we good? We good? One
Thank
final word?
everybody for their business.
There you go. You good?
I'm good, man.
All right, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We'll see you
Take it
tomorrow
easy,
night.
guys.
If you
Good
can't
seeing
make
you.
it tomorrow night, we'll
Come
see you
join us.
Tuesday. Good job, guys.
And that 2 hours.